And we are live on episode 65 of the Red Man Group. I'm your host and moderator, Donovan Shupp. We are presented in part by the 21 Convention. This July 18th through July 21st, the 21 Convention is headed to Warsaw, Poland. Buy your tickets now at the21convention.org, or you can buy them on any one of our affiliate websites. If you get your tickets today, you're going to get 40% off of that price, okay? If you wait till next month, the discount's not going to be as high. You guys know how these things go. If you buy early, you save the most money. But the more you wait, the less you save. So just keep that in mind. We're brought to you by the 21 Convention. Well, today's topic, gentlemen, it's sort of a multi-pronged topic. We're going to talk about Rollo Tomasi's article, his latest post, False Positives. Then we're going to talk about truth versus hustle. But before we get into that, let's briefly introduce our panel. First off is the founder of Fourth R Consulting, Ryan Stone. Okay. Ryan Stone, @Ryan_Stone is where he can be found on Twitter. He's also on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe to his YouTube channel where he releases weekly videos and does Red Mornings with Black Label Logic every Saturday morning right before the show. RyanStone.com is where you can find his exclusive content and book one-on-one consultations. And if you want to support him even further, make sure you check out his Patreon page @_Ryan_Stone. Carl, Black Label Logic, is next. Black Label Logic is where you can find him on Twitter. There we go. Had to get him on the screen. Where you can find him on Twitter. And make sure you bookmark his blog, blacklabellogic.com, where you can find his latest post, one of his best posts, one of his latest posts is game and manipulation, as well as hypergamy and looks. Those are rock solid posts. You guys definitely want to check that out. Next in line, of course, is the godfather of the Manosphere, Rollo Tomasi. He is the author of the Rational Male, Preventative Medicine and Positive Masculinity. Follow him on Twitter @RationalMale. You can also catch him here on the Red Man Group on his YouTube channel and on the Pat Campbell Show every Friday morning at 9:05 Eastern on Talk Radio 1170 in Tulsa. I of course, am Donovan Sharp. You guys can find all of my content on donovansharp.com, YouTube, and Patreon. I'm on the air now. I'm actually going to be on the air Tuesday through Thursday from 1 to maybe 4. I've cut my show down from 4 days a week to 3 days a week because it's a 4-hour show. I don't have time to be getting ready for, 3-hour shows 5 days a week. So I'm going to cut that down. But don't worry, there's still going to be plenty of content coming out. Guys, it's good to have you on this morning.
Hey, good to be back. Back from Orlando.
Yeah, back from Orlando. So let's get our updates here going on. Ryan, what's been going on with you lately, man?
Ryan, you're muted.
Oh, there we are.
There we go. I hate how that's so slow. I hate how I missed you guys at Patriarchs. I just didn't think I had enough to contribute there for the audience to get their money's worth. I'm glad you guys survived that hurricane. I was out actually boating and talking with some of my old sailor friends, which was kind of nice. I forgot how seasick I got. And came up with my latest video, which is on YouTube now, about to address how a lot of guys find they can't listen to music, they can't watch movies, and they can't make friends anymore once they find the red pill.
Yes.
To that, I made a point of you're kind of missing the whole point. The point is you're supposed to be charismatic and a beacon of value to other people to want to get on you. So you're supposed to be making friends. You've just got to learn to get past that clubhouse phase and move on to being a more self-actualized man. On that note, the consulting has been going really well. I'm running into guys who have never actually read Rational Male, and they're just hearing about us from friends who watch the show, telling them, yeah, check out this guy. And then they find out we do consulting, and then it's amazing. I get to introduce them to a lot of the stuff that they may not have known, but it's amazing how well they fall into the traps that you can get by not talking about it. And the big benefit of there is I realized, I was telling Carl this earlier, if you guys don't know, a lot of the stuff that I wear from style, which is part of being a self-actualized man, is you got to start looking the part. A lot of the stuff I wear is custom. Like all my suits are custom. Even my sunglasses are custom. And I was getting myself a new set of Wayfarers because I've run the piss out of them over the last year. And so I decided, as a benefit to the guys who sign on to my email list, I'll put the link to it's on the description there. My email list for a lot of guys who sit there, and that's where I do most of my work. Every day I send them stuff that would probably get me banned from social media, but it's things that guys need to hear. And so I made a small run of sunglasses there. If guys want to have some Wayfarers for the summer, sign up. There's an email code on there that's strictly for the email list, nobody else. get it at a great deal, have a disposable, stylish pair of sunglasses that's going to make you look good for the summer. I may eventually move up. Suits are a bit harder of a deal, but just little things that I realize if I'm doing it custom for me, why not offer to other guys if they want it too? And then aside from that, I had a great talk with Carl over the last hour and a half here where we kind of discussed, it was a little bit more meta than I would have liked, but we really do discuss the nitty gritty of what it means to be a high value male and why we're not doing cults or ideologies or any of that nonsense. We're just getting guys laid and making them a more positive influence to those around them. It was a wonderful conversation. If you guys haven't done it, check back on the Red Morning that we do every Saturday just before this show. Go and check it out right now, or after this show, obviously. And I think you'll really enjoy it. So that's been the main thrust of what's been going on with me the last week and a half here.
Okay, good stuff. Carl, you're up next, man. What's been up to this past 7 days, this last fortnight or so?
Well, I put out a blog post on how to write a good criticism, because I know Rolo gets the most of this, perhaps out of all of us, but they get these drive-by criticisms where someone expects you to spend 3.5 hours responding to a 3-word tweet, usually that you're lunked. So I put out a blog post on how to write a good criticism, like make sure you read through everything that the guy wrote on it. We may change our opinion and so on. And I'm also working on the paperback versions of Gendernomics and Gendernomics 2. I mean, Amazon is not very good for dealing with when you have a lot of graphs in books, so that's a lot of work. And I also got into it kind of on the Red Pill Reddit and on Twitter last night from what I'm gathering in chat. So it was just Anthony's going through a very rough breakup with Gay Lube Oil. I wouldn't even call it a breakup. They had a one-night stand like 3 years ago, and Gay Lube Oil just never got over it. I mean, he's like real close to going to Anthony's house and boiling his pet rabbit. But so I got into that a little bit last night. And, you know, as always, you know, whenever there's beef in the Manosphere, you have the normal guys who try to sneak in and take their shots. And, you know, friend of the Red Man group, Pat Stedman, was out in force last night. And, you know, the one thing I loved about that is we were all arguing between ourselves and kind of subtweeting back and forth at each other. But the second Pat tweeted, everyone just stopped and just called him a pussy. So it's like Pat is like one of those guys. It's like no matter how much beef all the red pill men have on Twitter, the second all of us can agree that Pat Stedman is a bit of a douche. And it's just brilliant. Like he's the guy that everyone hates. So I just love that one. And, you know, secondly, I was also, like I told Ryan, I was a bit late to today's Red Morning because I was up all night doing volunteer work with some guys on Twitter. And, you know, I sending them to the correct forums where they can meet people who have the same level of autism, you know, that type of thing. So I was overall a good dude. Like for all the guys who called me a psychopath who just ruined quality women, I actually put in a lot of volunteer work to help out the less fortunate guys.
Well, you know, listen, you're a charity. Listen, you're a scholar and a gentleman, and your altruism will be rewarded.
No, that's good to hear. I mean, I got a lot of hate about it last night, but I mean, I'm just going to go back with what friend of the show Andrew Tate said a while back. I've never posted on Reddit because I've actually had sex.
Oh, wow. And we are going to talk about what the Red Pill Reddit has become. And I know that you guys I think we all have some very strong opinions there. But before we get to that, let's keep it rolling here. Rolo, how's your week gone, man?
Really.
Any sleds haven't blown anything up?
No, I haven't. Yeah, right. I know. I have nothing has exploded in my face, unfortunately. Maybe that will change this afternoon. Actually, I had planned to take the sled out this afternoon. There's still enough snow here that I can do that. You know, what's funny is on Thursday, on Wednesday, I finally had a day to myself in Orlando, Florida, and I took my my fishing kayak out to Sebastian Inlet and just took pretty much most of the day out there and just was fishing and sort of getting back into all that. I am officially going to be moving back to Florida within the year. I think.
Wow. So are you leaving?
So there is your shocker for today. Yeah, I think I'm probably going to end up moving back to Florida. Now it's not because I want to get closer to Anthony, although that will be one benefit of being back there. It's just that I'm presently paying 2 mortgages, one here in Nevada and one in Florida, and it just doesn't make too much sense anymore.
Oh, I don't envy you for that, man. It's a horrible place to be with the doubles.
Yeah, well, I love Nevada, I really do, and I love the mountains, and I love being this close to Tahoe. But another development that's happened recently is my mom's just gone into rehab right now, and I don't mean rehab like she's an alcoholic or anything. She is about 80 years old, and so she has to go back into physical therapy and stuff, and she is probably not going to last till the end of this year. So I've been dealing with that, and I want to apologize to anybody who was at the convention this last week, but I was really kind of preoccupied because I was trying to make decisions for my mom while I was in Orlando by phone. She went into the hospital literally the day that I got to the hotel. So I'm her primary caregiver, and I'm the one who oh, I'm getting an echo again. Somebody's giving me an echo. Anyways, so I was dealing with that while I was at the convention. Although I will say this, I think the convention was a groundbreaker for me. I thought that doing this and to have like a specific purpose to the convention. In this case, it's like fatherhood and patriarchy, I guess, for the lack of a better term. I really think that I would like to see this develop into something else. I would love to see this develop into an annual kind of thing. But I think Anthony at this point has his plate full with a lot of other things that he's doing. So I would see this probably coming back maybe in a year and a half. But I met a lot of guys. I actually did a live counseling, a live video feed counseling on like the last night I was there for a guy, and I can't remember the dude's name, but I hope he got something out of that. I know it went on a forum or something. It had guys like with the phones like videoing me, and I was having I think it was a pretty educational talk with this guy. But I did a talk with Pat Campbell on my end of things. I also did a fantastic workshop with Elliot Hulse, and to be quite honest with you, I wish I could have done that for 3 hours instead of 1 hour, because we were just starting to scratch the surface of the discussion that I really wanted to have. I think that if we're going to do workshops in the future, they need to be a little bit longer, or maybe they need to be over the course of like various days.
Part 1, part 2, part 3.
Part 1, part 2, because a lot of the guys I had, and not to toot my own horn here, but you could have 20 people in the room, and I think we had 27 people in the room. And so literally it was standing room only. And we were talking about about what I'm writing about in book 4, which is the religion and red pill, and how the two interact, and what we can expect when it comes to intersexual dynamics and how it affects religion, or how religion affects intersexual dynamics as well. And it was a really, really great conversation. I think it was encouraging to me, because I think that the 4th book is going to be it's going to be a
groundbreaker, man.
It's going to be a groundbreaker, because when I was in there and I was talking to these guys, they're packing in because they want to hear this conversation, and they really want this material. So it was very encouraging for me to know that I'm on the right track with this. And also, I want to just say thanks to Elliot in case he's listening. I did an interview with Elliot the week before we went on to Orlando, and then we met up and we talked about religion. We actually had just sort of a meetup about, I had an idea. I said, hey, you know what, Elliot is much more, if you know Elliot, he's much more religious. He's much more like, looking above, whereas I'm more kind of down to earth here. And I think we were very good compliments to each other when we're talking about these kind of issues, because I'm gonna keep things rooted in empiricism. I'm going to keep things rooted, right, on the ground. Whereas he's going to say, well, he's going to get a little bit more metaphysical. That's been his gig for a long time. And I don't necessarily think that there needs to be some sort of breaking or separation between those two. In fact, I think that there's a necessity. He's like the yin to my yang, right? There has to be sort of this understanding of metaphysical or spiritual along with the rational as well, so you can see sort of the code in the matrix, so to speak, see why things are the way that they are when we're talking about religion and stuff. But anyways, I just want to say that I really thought that was a great workshop, and I wish I could have done it for a whole lot longer than I did. But the way that we scheduled it, it came before my talk, whereas for whatever scheduling reasons, it was scheduled for it to come after my talk. So I had to sort of leave the room so I could go prep for my actual talk. And so I had to end it at 1 hour, and then I sort of left it up to Elliot to continue it if he wanted to continue it further than that. But I really think that it deserves a whole lot more time, and I don't know, I just think it's a net positive. I think, especially the workshop format. I think we're going to be doing the workshops also in October as well. So I will definitely pick that up again in October, because hopefully my book will be published by then and we can talk about things. So that's where I'm at this week.
Okay, excellent. Big thanks goes out to Latino Manosphere, aka Miami J. Says, Don, great to be back watching the RMG. We'll be in touch soon. Miami J's been wrapped up in what's going on in Venezuela. He's been down in D.C., advising the ambassador to Venezuela on all the unrest going on down there. Freelance Ronan, big thanks to him with the $5 super chat. He says, drop it into the tip jar. Gentlemen, Mr. Jackson with the $5 super chat says, what's up, Redman Group and fellas? I had a great week. Of course, I returned from the 21 convention, Patriarchs Edition. I too had a workshop. And if I'll attempt to measure dicks here with Rollo, I actually had standing room only myself. So, but yeah, myself and Steve the Dean teamed up. I think Texas Dom was actually in there too as an observer. Devin was in the back; she was a wallflower. But it was a hell of a workshop. I had a great time. This week I finished up my How to Build Your Woman week. I started it last week. I finished it up this week. I'm actually going to compile the entire audio file, maybe even the entire video file. I'm gonna pack it all up and condense it without all of the commercials, without all of the commentary. And I might put it. I might make it available on my website. I know a lot of guys can't really become patrons or don't want to become patrons, so I might put that up for sale on my website. I don't know. We'll figure out what happens there. But great week of shows. I've decided to make my show Tuesday through Thursday. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 1 o'clock Eastern until I do a nice long show now. I provide plenty of content. Of course, I'll do my sharp shorts and everything in between. All right, let's go ahead and get right to it, guys. Rollo, I'm going to start this off with you. Your latest post on therationalmail.com is entitled False Positives. You actually posted this almost a week ago. And I'm going to read a couple of very quick paragraphs, and I'm going to, and after that, the floor is yours. So it says, quote, admire the hustle. We read this a lot in the Manosphere among the guys who fancy themselves entrepreneurs. I think one reason critics think the red pill is negative is because all they see is the hustle. The hustle has a way of becoming the whole point of anything. Quote, I'm an abortion doctor, but I make 6 figures and I'm the best at what I do. No one will outwork me. Admire the hustle, baby. Rollo continues, when the selling is more important than the product itself, then you have problems. When the truth is less important than the hustle, inevitably our truth becomes the hustle. There needs to be a balance, and that's getting harder and harder to find now. The last paragraph I'll read is this. He says, we are at a moment in the Manosphere where the truth is starting to get lost in the hustle. I'm accused of it, Rollo says. I'm accused of associating with too much hustle. Well-meaning colleagues with too much perception and not enough information are feeling that salesmen care more about the sale than the product. Rollo, the floor is yours, man.
Sure. Well, one of the reasons I wrote, I'm kind of on a fence here, and I get hit from both sides for this. Right now, we have to as far as the red pill is concerned and the manosphere is concerned, we've got to watch out. We've got to watch our backs right now. I mean, anybody who is watching this and has been or watched, I should say, the Red Line last night, we were talking about how Chateau Hartis has been taken down. Okay,
Yeah.
they have our number. We're on a list right now. I'm convinced that there is a list for Manosphere websites or Manosphere personalities or whatever that is part of the SPLC right now, or SPLC, yeah, Southern Poverty Law Center. And that is where a lot of big tech is taking their marching orders from right now. So I'm throwing that out there because we're entering into dangerous times, and I think that we need to be a little bit more united, at least in the sense that like we're going to in some way, defend one another or protect one another. Even if I have, look at it this way. Like I don't have, there's no love between myself and Paul Elam. Okay. But I do understand that we need to watch out for one another, that we've got to at least in some way raise the alarm. How that works, I don't know. But the other thing that we've been doing is we've been promoting ourselves beyond just the internet right now, with the 21 convention, with books, with even just broadcasting with this show. Up until 2017, all I was an author and a blogger, and that's all Rollo Tomasi was for anybody else. Is
Now you're a real person.
Yeah, now I'm a real person. Now you can put a face to it. And for the longest time, I didn't want to put my face to it. And the reason for that is because I wanted to protect my family more than anything.
Right.
And then I was in a position, work-wise, that I had to be careful that I didn't have any negative associations with the brands that I was working with. Now that has changed, so I can be a little bit more public. And so I decided to sort of put my face on everything back in 2017 when I did the 21 convention. I mean, technically I did it in 2015 at the Man in Demand conference with Christian McQueen. And, but that was just, there was no video of that. It was just audio recording, and it was just, limited pictures and things. So now you know what I look like. Now everybody knows. You can put a face to it. You can put a voice to it. And I put myself out there in as public a way as I'm comfortable doing right now. If people wanted to dox me, they can dox me, but it's not going to be as big a deal as it would have been, say, in the past.
Right.
But I see that there is a need for the Red Pill to be a little bit bigger than just an online forum or just my blog. For example, I'm happy that I have one of the most well-trafficked blogs in the Manosphere. I'm glad for that. I'm glad that a lot of my hard work has at least paid off in terms of people becoming more aware. My dedication or my obligation has always been to truth. It has always been to the Red Pill. And so, but the problem is when you go and you try to become a little bit bigger than that, or you try to push things out there, it costs money to do that. And it costs, I can't sell a book for any less than what I'm selling The Rational Male for right now. Amazon won't let me do that. But am I making money off of the Rational Male? Yes, sure, I am. Sure. And I'm glad that I am. It's nice to have a little bit of extra cash, but remember when I put this out there, I thought that was going to be the only book that I was ever going to write. So, then I become something that now I become the author rather than just a guy who has a book. And people come to me, they're asking me, questions. Now I'm also a counselor now. Now I'm also, I'm a Red Pill personality is what I am. I'm a Manosphere personality now. And that is going to draw attention from people who think that you're selling out. So it doesn't matter what your dedication is, here, it's what they see going on around you. And who you associate yourself with. And I think one of the biggest problems I don't want to just pick on the Manosphere, but I think one of the biggest problems people online have is that if you retweet something, or if you write an essay about something, that it automatically means that you endorse whatever the hell it is that you're talking about. Okay. That is like autistic in the extreme. And I think I've said this and I've written posts about this before, is that one thing that I notice in the the internet's, of the world is that people tend to lean towards binary extremes.
Right.
So if you say, hey, maybe we should talk about this subject. Oh, so you're saying that you hate women and you want to, kill babies, because you talked about this. No, we can have a discussion about this without saying that one of us is endorsing whatever it is that we're talking about. So I think that's the basis that a lot of people want to say. It's like, well, Rollo's gone off the reservation. Like he's more about turning a buck right now, or he's negative.
Yeah.
And his truth isn't what my truth is. So therefore he must be negative, or he must be angry, or he must be damaged, or he must be bitter against women because he's saying stuff that goes against my brand. Now, here's what I also said at the 21 convention back in 2018, and I did the State of the Manosphere address. I also said that we need to be careful going forward about the brand of me. Everybody on this panel and everybody that who is a red pill personality has their own personal brand. Anybody who's on Twitter, anybody who has a YouTube channel, anybody who has a book, anybody who has a blog, they are interested in their own brand. How big that brand is, the brand of me. In fact, I would almost want to write a book called The Brand of Me, because that's what this really is all about. And suddenly everybody who has a YouTube channel is a marketer. And everybody who has a blog is in some way finding ways to maximize their profits at what it is that they're doing. This is like the Wild West here. And we're doing it on platforms that we don't own, so we can be just ditched at any time.
Right.
But we're still out there and we're still doing it. You know better than most, Donovan, how you can lose your Twitter account, how you can lose your blog, how can your channels, your platforms. But we're still interested in the brand of me. And so when I'm out there and I'm saying, look, my dedication and my commitment and my obligation is to telling the truth. This is making people, as many men, red pill aware as I possibly can. But yeah, I've got a book out. People want to say, well, you got a book, you're monetizing the rational male. That's monetization right there. And then I say, well, look, you can get all of the stuff that's in my book for free on the rational male on the blog. All you got to do is go, hey, I collected a lot of this stuff in a book. If you want to have the convenience of having a book and you want to support what it is that I do, great. And then they go, well, if I could get everything for free on your blog, why would I want to buy your book? And I'm just like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck can I do?
Yeah.
To get, because it's just people who want to be contradictory. It's just people who are interested in their own brand of me. So when I'm talking about when I'm saying things, when I'm talking about certain truths that are unflattering to women, it damages the brand of me from other people. So when people say Rollo needs to be more nice, or like Pat Stedman's here, running fucking poll, or no, his Riv that was running polls about like, say, well, is Rollo anti-woman? Well, dude, I've been married for going on 23 years right now. I've raised a daughter from infancy to adulthood. I have a notch count of just over 40. I don't hate women. I wouldn't be taking care of my fucking mother, dying in rehab right now if I hated women. So let's just fucking clear the air here, you dumb fuck. All right. This is what I do. I tell the fucking truth. And you know what? Sometimes the truth is bad for fucking business. Sorry to say that, but it is bad for business. This is exactly the same bullshit that there goes our monetization. But this is exactly the same bullshit that RSD has thrown at me for a very long time. And everybody has been doing the same thing. They can say, well, Rollo is truthful. It's truthful anger. He's angry all the time.
Maybe
read the book, because what was happening is that all of the people who are, adepts or acolytes or whatever the hell you want to call them for RSD were bringing the rational male to these seminars, to their, to the instructors, and say, have you read the rational male? Rollo in this book, and they have it highlighted and underscored and whatever, said X, Y, and Z. What is your response to that? And they don't have a response. So they forced these guys out of their brand of me to deal with the truths that I'm revealing in my own book. And so they have to say, well, it's all truth, but you don't want to stick with that too much because it's angry and it'll make you angry and it'll make you bitter. And, you know, women aren't all that bad. And it's like, they're trying to make it seem like what I'm saying is going to make guys feel negative towards women or feel bad towards women. And I'm not going to say that there aren't guys that will do that. But that's not the point of the book. That's not the point of the truth. The point of the truth is so that you have the tools so that you know what to do with all that. I've written several, all the people who want to say that I'm angry or I'm negative or bitter, go and look at, I've got a post called the New Hope, A New Hope. Look at that and tell me if you think that I'm
something I'll add here before we quickly go to Ryan is that bitterness, like a lot of guys, a lot of women, a lot of detractors, like, oh, you guys are just bitter. You know what? Listen, bitter, yes, but that doesn't mean that bitterness is devoid of wisdom. I remember a long time ago, and Rolo, you probably remember this, the steroid hearings in baseball on Capitol Hill. Jose Canseco had been blackballed from the league. For whatever reason, he couldn't get a job, blah, 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 blah. So what he did is he blew the whistle on steroids, right? He said, I would estimate that 80% of Major League Baseball players are on some sort of performance-enhancing drug. Well, Major League Baseball came back and said, these are the words, these are the musings of a man who has an axe to grind. Guess what? He did have an axe to grind. That doesn't mean he wasn't telling the truth. And now we know all of the guys were using steroids. So just because a guy has an axe to grind, just because he has an agenda, doesn't necessarily mean that what he's saying is not truth. Truthful anger is still the truth.
Well, let me just put an ending on this here. Is that one of the reasons what I wrote about truth versus the hustle here is we always say admire the hustle. Right. So when I look at the guys in RSD, or I look at the guys, you know, anybody's brand of me. Everybody says admire, like Tate. Tate is a very good example for this, and I love Tate. Okay, Tate is about the hustle, but he's also about the truth as well. Right. But people only see his hustle. They only see what he's selling snake oil. You know, that's why I put that picture as the lead in for that post. He's selling snake oil. Well, go read it. Go check out what he's talking about. Like everybody says, like when we're promoting the 21 conventions, people say, well, this is just snake oil. You know what? If you think it is snake oil, I will pay for your flight to come out to at least for one or two of these guys. I'll pay for your flight to come out and see it and spend the weekend there and see what it's all about. And I guarantee you I will change your mind because it's about truth. So what I'm seeing right now is in the brand of me, there's people who are I'm not saying that there aren't well-meaning people. There are. But they're well-meaning, but they also know that they are writing for an audience.
Yes,
they know that because they want the broadest appeal, because that's what works for the brand of me. That's what works for developing a brand, is to have broad appeal, to have a broader appeal of people who agree with you and who love you than people who hate you. And you're always going to have people who hate you, especially if you're doing it right. Somebody's going to hate you. Okay, that's just part of the game. But what my concern is, or I don't want to say beef, but my contention here is that when I put out truth, when I go and I say, okay, this is what I'm seeing, these are the dots that I've connected. I mean, the rational male is not the Bible of the red pill for nothing. Okay. And so when the guys from RSD, or guys who not maybe Pat Stedman or any of these other guys who, especially purple pill hacks, especially the guys whose benefit it is to have the broadest appeal that they possibly can, when I come in and I show a truth that counters that, it's bad for their business. That's why the rational male is bad for RSD's business. Right. It's bad for Pat Stedman's business. It's bad for Mark Manson's business. If I'm out there and I'm saying, you know what, this guy's full of shit, and he is basically selling you sweet sunshine because that's good for his brand of me. But if I go out there and I say, here's the rational male, read through it, you will understand things a little bit more, then it's going to have an impact on his brand, because they're writing for an audience. It's not so much about, it's more about the hustle than it is about the truth. Whereas I'm trying to say, look, you can have both. You can keep it. It doesn't have to be, well, Rolo's all negative all the time. Well, you can read my stuff and decide for yourself whether it is or it's not. But then they'll go and they'll say something to the effect of, and Carl can probably pick up on this too. They'll say something to the effect that, well, what you're saying is just making people angry, and not every guy is going to be able to figure that out for themselves. And well, I'm sorry, but I'm not your fucking counselor. I'm not your kindergarten teacher. I am not I'm not my brother's keeper. And I know that that's where Carl was going to go with this. So I'm just going to hands up. Go.
Okay. All right. Real quick, I'm going to read out these super chats. They're coming in fast and furious. I appreciate that. Redman Anon with the $20 super chat says, thanks for putting yourself out there for us guys. You definitely made my life better and helped me cross the abyss. I was in a real bad rage for a year, and it has finally been tapering off. I always recommend your book. Much love. Conk with the $10 super chat says, mad respect for this topic. Discussing this openly would never fly in any other, quote, truth-based subculture. I want the evangelical church more transparent like this. Keep up the work, gents. That's never going to happen. Dean Nip
Yeah.
with the $1.99 super chat says, tactical soap has made my manhood huge. Told you. I told you. Listen, I've been trying to tell you guys. You got to listen. Tactical soap.
People lost their shit when that happened.
swear to
People
God,
absolutely lost their shit. Oh my God. There's somebody trying to make a turn a buck off of like
I'm gonna address
somebody who is, you know what, we have so, and I'm going to just get on my high horse here because Rich is right about this, is that you have a guy who with a company, it's not Axe body wash. Okay. You have a guy who is supportive of the sphere. There's not many guys that are out there, particularly right now where there's a storm coming, and there's one dude out there who's selling soap because he actually believes in, what it is that we're talking about, and he wants to, put himself out there. Again, admire the hustle, right?
There you go.
There you go.
All right, T21 Surfer with the $5 super chat says, Truth Rodrigo Castillo with the $10 super chat says, here's $9.99 for Rolo and the tip jar. So Ryan, we'll get to Carl in just a second. And I think Carl actually wrote an article that doesn't necessarily piggyback, but it sort of talks about things in the same vein. What is your take on truth versus hustle here?
Oh boy. Can you hear me right now?
Oh, yeah. You're
good. I was still trying to figure out, Rich Cooper actually gave me his old mic, so I'm still trying to work out the magic. He's got a technical marvel here. You guys are going to love this, because as much as they say we're a monolith, a cult, or anything like that, I'm going to disagree with a lot of you on a lot of points, but we're generally moving in the same direction. So I don't give. And you said we're demonetized right now, Rolo?
No. Nope. We still have the green dollar sign.
Gotcha. Okay.
Give it a half an hour.
Hey, give it about 20 minutes, right?
I'll save the S bombs for the F bombs for the yellow dollar sign. We're talking about semantics. Now, a lot of people are making very unreasonable expectations. And Rolo, because he cares, he's put a lifetime of work into making men better men. I get how he's invested, but I disagree right now. That whole speech you just gave, while totally true, is a giant deer. Defend, excuse, explain, rationalize. I find from a tactical standpoint, it's not a good idea, because the kind of people that disagree with you will take that defense as a validation of their concerns, which is really a crappy place to be, because for the people that want to learn more, they're going to get value from that. The haters, they're just going to use that as more ammo, and we're going to create this weird feedback loop of more Pat Stedman tweets about how Rolo hates the whammon. Here's my point. It's a marketplace of ideas. We're going to have disagreements, and that's okay, because that's how things grow. At the end of the day, I'm a simple man. When you think of the TradCon ideal, that should be me. I was raised on a farm. I raised cattle. I'm the salt of the earth. My grandfather was a Baptist minister. I did 12 years in the military. I went back. I got a girlfriend we've always been very traditional, very stable. Sorry, I see the Red Man logo on there. Can you guys still hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go on.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, there we go.
Donovan
And so at the end of the day, it's all about social or sexual dynamics. And the people that are crapping on Rolo, the people that are crapping on me, that are crapping on Carl, on Donovan, on the Red Pill, everybody has their own agenda. And I get that. It's our idea marketplace. There's a lot of projection. The people that tell us that we hate women are the ones that are treating women as disposable objects that are like a monolithic identity. And a lot of it is ego. I think we've established from last night's garbage fire of a call out between the various Red Pill groups is that a lot of it's not about the ideas we're discussing. A lot of it is about people's egos. Now, if you've read 48 Laws of Power, you should kind of get that right now. Mm. And so at its core, I just keep to why I came here in the first place. I was having a problem to which my mental models were not equipped to help me deal with. Everything that I had taken as sacrosanct in my life flipped a switch and immediately turned on me. And I started realizing about the disposability of men. And then works like Rolo's, like Ironwood, Athel K, even pre his wife taking over, those really helped me. So from a simple problem solution standpoint, this stuff all has merit. I wouldn't be here if it isn't the case. Now, the problem that I came with, and the reason that I'm doing it here now as like a monetary thing, is that it's not about the money. Like, it has to be about enough money because I need to eat and I got to pay bills like everybody else. If it was just about the money, I would stick to what Carl's doing. I would stick to my corporate life. It pays way better. It's a lot less work, and there's a lot less morons out there talking crap. So you deal with much less crap on it. So yeah, I'm going to monetize it, and you're going to be okay with that because this isn't snake oil. If it was snake oil, I would go back to my corporate job because it pays better, and I would have just the same lack of self-satisfaction that I get here if it was snake oil. So I don't even phase, that doesn't even phase me. If you're calling it fake, that's my job to persuade you. And if I can't convince you that the same roadmap that I took to make my life more self-actualized, to make myself a more attractive and charismatic person, to make my interactions with women better, if I cannot convince you through my words, my actions, and my brand, for lack of a better word, then I'm wasting my time here.
Right.
And so I take these things as a challenge. Yeah, you keep calling me unattractive if you want to. You keep calling me, say I hate the whammon, say whatever you want to. If the average person looking at this interaction between me and you can't suss out fact from ego fiction, then that's my failure. And that means I have work to do. So I take all of this crap, like the Pat Stedmans, as much as I love every time he posts something, watching every girl that knows him dunking on his tweets for being so bad.
Oh my God. It's just so easy with this guy. That's why I like him.
But it's fine. I'm not even mad at the guy because I know at the end of the day, his heart, and even RSD and all them, their heart is most likely in the right place.
Sure.
But they have such horrible mental models and such a unproductive way of looking at things that I can't take them seriously. But at the same time, I can't hate them for it because I know they mean well. It's the same way as like when you have a kid that keeps screwing up. Like, you don't hate them and kick them out of your house. You just realize, yeah, he's the one that's going to be licking spoons the rest of his life, and that's fine. So I'll end with this. All these concerns are valid concerns, and a lot of guys are just looking at the wrong intersection of a Venn diagram of high-quality men, men who monetize, and there's an intersection, which I like to think I'm in the middle of. People who want to make enough money to make this a viable like lifestyle, as well as people who are providing actual value. And if you want to assume I'm on that side, that's the snake oil side of things, well, that's on me. And if you don't believe me, that's fine. This is a voluntary interaction. But at the same time, I'm just going to say that I'm kind of done. Like I'm done deering. It's not
enough is enough.
Yeah. So I'll use this to the audience. So, hey, people have these random concerns. They're not being genuine about it. Right. Here's why. But it's not me arguing with, for example, anybody from last night's fiasco. It's none of that. It's me showing the audience, here's the interaction, here's the garbage fire, and here's the diamonds in the rough that we can pull out of it. And so while I don't like any of this random beef, any of this stupid snake oil accusations, I do enjoy, it's a nice chance to clarify one's ideas, to articulate value to other people, and to make the case that, yes, I think I have something that can help you out. Because you don't look at a doctor and you don't say, oh, he doesn't want to heal you. He just wants money. That's why he's a surgeon. It's like, no, he's a surgeon. But I guarantee you, when you're on the operating table, he's the one that's going to be working on you.
That's right.
It's not about the money. The money's, it's not irrelevant because it takes a lot of money to get to that space. So it has to be worth your while.
There you
go. It's just incentives. And I'll leave it there because Carl's going to have a way wittier, funnier, and a little more cuss-filled way of articulating what I just said. So,
well, before Carl goes, Ryan, for the record, I find you very attractive. You are a handsome man, and I don't care. I don't care who calls you unattractive. Ryan is an attractive dude. He's a good.
My God, this is what it feels like when Dubs cry.
Yes, of course. There was one other thing when people call, if a guy calls like you a snake oil salesman, Ryan, you a snake oil salesman, Rollo, myself, or Carl, they don't really believe that. That's just that, and you said it best. That's just being disingenuous. They don't really believe that we're snake oil salesmen, but they want to find some way to invalidate what we're doing. So they say, you guys are selling snake oil. Motherfuckers, I am 448 episodes in. I've done this over a 5-year period. I've written over 200 articles. If that's snake oil, then I should be rich.
It's the same as any shit test. If your girl wants to sleep with you, she's gonna shit test you anyway, just to make sure you're being genuine. So I don't even mind.
Carl, what you got on this, brother?
Well, first off, I want to say that I agree with Ryan. Yesterday was a garbage fire. I mean, I took a flamethrower and I set fire to a whole lot of garbage. No, my thing with it is, the way I see it is, like, I'm not my brother's keeper, and Rolo's right on that. Like, I associate with you guys because I think you're creating good content for men. And I was reading all of you before I ever started writing or doing anything myself. And I like to use that as kind of the acid test for people in this sphere, that are they creating content regularly, and are they putting effort into doing that? And are they actually decent and professional about it? And that's what I like about this show, is everyone has the ability to be professional. And that was sort of the point of my post too, was like, if I spend my free time doing this, if I'm like the worst in the Manosphere on monetizing. I have a couple of books out. I just pulled them for 6 months because I got tired of people nagging me to put out an Audible. So that was just, the money I make from this is minimal, and it's not a deer. It's just, it makes no difference to me. If I did a few more billable hours and put in half the time I put in on creating my content here, I'd make way more money. I do this largely because I want to try and help, because I've taken a lot of value from the Manosphere and from the various forums, from the Reddit, from various blogs and YouTube channels. And I want to help create the type of content that I would want to see. And what we're seeing is what one of my mentors used to call well pissers. They're people, they're not doing anything to maintain the well. They're just pissing in it to screw it up for everyone else.
Right.
For the most part, like, I don't agree with everything Donovan says. I don't agree with everything Rolo says. I sure as hell don't agree with Ryan's choices in shirts. But I'm not going to constantly trash them over it, because what do we get out of it? Like, if I take up 2 hours of Rolo's time over some pointless beef over like the 3% of things we don't agree on, I could spend those 3 hours writing a blog post, and he could spend 3 hours writing one of his blog posts, and we'd both be better off, and the world would be better off from it. And I have no problems with people if they want to criticize me for something, or if they want to complain about something. Like, if people buy my books and they want to hit me up in my open DMs, they're more than welcome to do so. And I think those who have found me to be rather courteous to them. But if you just want to talk trash, then I'll block you or mute you. And I don't blame any content creator for doing that, because whenever I log on Twitter, I'm a couple of hundred notifications deep. I can't see everything. And if I see someone who's in there calling me a bundle of sticks or a lunt or whatever, I'm just going to block them. Like, if their first interaction with me is trash talk, why should I deal with them in good faith? I don't see the point of doing it. It's just poisoning the well. And it's the same thing with the snake oil thing. Like, I think I'm going to, if I ever do a red pill product, I'm going to do red pill beard oil, and I'm just going to name it snake oil just to fuck with people. I'm just going to do that on principle, because then I can literally say, yep, I'm selling snake oil. Donovan is an affiliate marketer for snake oil.
Yes.
It will literally be true. So that's going to be that one. And I think it's just one of those cases where guys cannot contribute with content. So instead of baffling people with brilliance, they try to blind them with bullshit. And it's just, that's why they get into philosophy in the first place. And it's never like the David Hume type philosophy that's empirical, focused on finding objective truth and what is real. It's always the kind of the continental philosophy where it's like Descartesian solipsism, where it's like, well, the only thing I know to be true is my own mind. So nothing is really true, and everything is permitted except, bagging hoes, because that goes against my trad values. And look at my huge ass beard, and look at my crying video on the building pathos on the Good Men Project, showing what a good, sensitive feminist I am. And it's just all of this virtue signaling. And that's all it is. It's like but some guys just want to virtue signal and sell because they want to appeal to women's emotions. Some guys just want to kind of piggyback off bigger brands. So it's basically, it's like putting out diss tracks. And, Jigga doesn't spend all his day thinking about why some irrelevant rapper down in the Bronx called him something on a mixtape that 3 people heard. So I think I'm just going to take the approach of telling people to don't give people attention. We have a lot of guys who are like the Instagram ass models of the Manosphere, except, occasionally seeing an Instagram ass model can be nice, but they're just out for attention seeking. And they don't get attention, and they're irrelevant in real life. So they seek out attention by being dicks online, and then they sit back and look at me, how powerful I am. I mean, someone actually responded to me, which is just kind of sad. But the whole philosophy thing comes into it, because no one, like if Rollo puts out a post, you can actually go through it. You can see his line of reasoning, and you can challenge him on his background data. You can challenge him on his logic. You can challenge him on his extrapolations. Because a lot of the things what Rollo and I do is we take a fact and we extrapolate from that fact or from a set of facts. You can always challenge the assumptions, but that requires actually sitting down, reading what we wrote, writing a thoughtful criticism that actually points out, okay, this is where I disagree with Rollo's extrapolation, or this is where I disagree with Carl's conclusion, or I don't necessarily see how Carl's logic works. So that's a valid criticism, but Rollo is just a negative Nancy. He's just making men angry. Well, you're not really saying anything about what he's producing or his knowledge or his content. What you're saying is you're saying something about his mindset and his motivation, which is
irrelevant.
Well, it's relevant in a sense that every blog post I write was inspired by something. I mean, someone said something, or I heard something, or I saw something, and my mindset will impact how I interpret the facts. But at the same time, you can challenge me on the logic, you can challenge me on the fact, but don't pretend like, okay, this is my interpretation of how Carl was feeling when he wrote this, and that is objective truth. Therefore, everything he wrote is irrelevant, or everything is negative. And that brings me kind of to the knowledge versus the outcome of applying knowledge part of it. Because if you can say that, okay, well, using game to sleep with my future wife will make her an alpha widow, thus ruining my marriage. I'm not alpha enough, and my dick is not big enough to fill her up after she's been with 18 black dudes. I mean, I'm sorry that your wife did a blacks on blondes shooting. I mean, I think all of us are sorry for that. We're sorry you found out because you locked yourself in the bathroom and you were watching Pornhub, and you happen to like watching blonde white girls get banged out by 8 hood guys. But that's irrelevant, really, because that doesn't impact the truth of the knowledge. That's just your moral judgment of whether or not what a person did with the knowledge is right or wrong. And we can discuss that, because that has a moral dimension. Like, you can use the same nuclear physics to blow up Hiroshima as you can do to power half of France. It doesn't make the knowledge, doesn't impact the knowledge at all. It's in the application. And, if you spend your time calling people out every time you disagree with them, and this is kind of my ending statement on this, is, being a player is a full-time job. And if you're going to sit and be part of call-out Twitter and sit around calling people out, and if I called out every guy in the Manosphere every time they did or said something I think is fucking retarded, there goes a monetization. My fault. No, if I do that all the time, I can just quit my corporate job and I can just sit around calling people out, because it happens constantly. Guys say things I disagree with all the time. I just don't see it as, if Ryan puts out 10 videos I like and 1 video where he looks like a douche, I'm not going to call him out for that 1 video. I'm going to credit him for the other 9, because he created 9 videos that are valuable, and he had 1 where he was wearing a thong and doing, how to make an omelet like a man. And, I'll just let him have that video in silence, and I'll focus on the 9 ones he created that were good. And that's just how you build a stronger community. And I can tell him in private, hey, Ryan, you in a thong whisking eggs with a fork, that's just not a good look. I mean, you should buy a whisk.
Yeah.
But I'll do that in private, and I'll credit him in public, just because the only people we make happy by arguing in public are the peanut gallery, who are not creating valuable content. They're not here to get value. They're not here to build themselves up. They're here to tear other people down. They're happy in their misery. They're happy sitting there with their keyboard, and they just want to trash other people's day. And those people shouldn't get attention.
I agree. And this is one of the reasons why I stopped looking at the chat on my show, because I am no longer going to give my attention to people who do not earn it, pay for it, or deserve it. on that note, I remember sitting next to Rich Cooper, who was on my right. We were doing Redman Group Live at the 21 convention in Orlando last October. And one thing he said resonated with me. He said, nobody works for free. And he's right. Nobody, listen, people could work for free, but that's a bad business model. Anybody who has a problem with us making money doing this, they want free content. These are the same guys that bitch and moan, skip the introductions and let's get right to the meat. These are guys who want something for nothing. And guess what? There's plenty of free content out there, right? So consume that. Why not go out and consume the content that's free, but then you want to come and bitch at us for not giving you quote unquote free content, right? The truth is, guys, is that putting the 21 convention on, putting together that event, that takes time, it takes money, it takes resources and more time, right? Even if you break even, let's just say that it cost Anthony Johnson $1,000 to put on the 21 convention. I'm just using a nice round number because the number is obviously way higher than that. But let's just say that it cost him $1,000. And then the revenue is $1,000. You break even. Guess what? Anthony is still at a loss because of all of the time he spent. Anthony spent 4 months putting this together. If he did this for free, then he would be in debt, right? This is what I do full time. If I didn't monetize what I was doing, one of two things would happen. I'd either be in debt or the quality of content wouldn't be that good because I'd have to go out and get a job, right? It takes time, money, and resources to produce this content. This is high quality content that we're putting on here. Those of you watching the Redman Group right now, this is free content. This is free content. This is what it is. Listen, we try to keep the $ green, but it usually gets turned yellow like maybe 20 minutes in, but you guys get the idea.
Donnie, I hate to interrupt, but it is hilarious. Like you having this very serious heart-to-heart conversation, and on the right, you got two tongues in each ear.
I got what?
The photo beside you was two girls with their tongues in either ear, and you're having this heart-to-heart moment. The juxtaposition was just wonderful.
You can't take me seriously. It was funny. I actually did a podcast mini in Orlando with the Mickey hat on. So I had the Mickey ears on. I know it's hard to take me seriously sometimes, but one other thing that I want to point out is wanting to make money doing something that we are good at, that provides value to other people. That doesn't make us bad people, man. Doctors could, just like Ryan said, doctors could work for free, but they don't because they need to get paid for their time. It costs money to eat. It costs money to live in a place. I understand when a guy changes the message in order to keep the business going. RSD, guys who change their stance. I understand that, but it's not against the law to make money providing a service to people that people want. I'll tell you something else. If we wanted to be more profitable, we would tell you what you want to hear. Rollo said it best. It is far more profitable telling people what they want to hear than telling people what they need to hear. This is what we do. But because guys want this content for free, they want to call us snake oil salesmen. Well, you call us snake oil salesmen, but you seem to want the snake oil. So somebody's lying here, okay? Either way, whatever changes we make, guys, we can't win. No matter what, we can't win, okay? Some people, just like Carl says, they just want to be contrarian. No matter what we say, no matter what we do, it's not going to be good enough for people because people want in. That's what this is. We have people on the outside who are purveyors of red pill truth, who want in with us. And for one reason or another, either they can't or they won't. So they sit there and they shoot arrows at us. Oh, you guys didn't want me at the 21 convention? Well, fuck you guys. You guys were never any good anyway. Snake oil salesman. Why are you doing selling alpha soap? Fuck out of here with that nonsense. You want in and you fucking know it. You can't. And so you want to attack us. Let's call it as what it is. So I'm going to give you guys a few signs that it is snake oil. Number one, the message is inconsistent. If somebody changes stances, like the economy changes the wind, that's snake oil. Like, which is it? Is it men are equal to women, or is it that men are superior to women in every way? Here's another thing. They don't put out content consistently. They only put out, like, they come up with some big course, they sell some book, and then they disappear for 6 months. That's snake oil. They're only doing it for profitability. Here's another sign of snake oil. More people like them than people that don't all the time. They seem to be a chameleon, right? Like a lot of guys jumped on the MAGA thing when Trump was in office. Those same guys are now jumping on the red pill. That's snake oil, right? we have disagreements, and I'm going to end it with this. We have disagreements within our group all the time, guys. This is a good thing. Somebody in the chat said, "Are you guys going to address the Anthony problem?" I don't even know what that even means. And listen, does Anthony say and do and think things that I don't agree with? All the time. But I endorse more of what he does than things that I don't. And at the end of the day, he's going to run the 21 convention the way he runs it. Just because Ryan and I have a fundamental disagreement on something, just because Rollo and I have a fundamental disagreement on something, that doesn't mean that we're inconsistent. That doesn't mean I have to fight Rollo or get into a beef with Ryan, right? People do and say things that I disagree with on a regular. Dude, Jack and I had a big time disagreement. Guess what? We are both on stage. We're on the same side. At the end of the day, we're on the same side. And if
you fight me in real life, Donnie.
Here's the thing. If you on the outside, if you pretend to have a problem with the fact that we make money doing this, that's a you problem, man. That's all there is to it.
No, they're trying to make
drop in for a second here because there was a couple of chat things. One is the nickel and diming, and I get that. Like if someone like most of the guys here, most of our content is free. I get it if you have a guy who's constantly trying to sell you shit. I mean, that's one of my big issues with, the internet in general is that people are always trying to sell something. Even if you're just trying to look at the weather, there's an ad there.
Yes.
So I get that if I like a guy tweets 10 tweets and 9 of them are him trying to sell something, I see that can get annoying. Sure. And I also see the copywriting Twitter. That's why I like making fun of copywriting Twitter. Because on one hand, it's like this exaggerated way of writing. And on the other hand, it's all this exaggeration, like if you're only making low 6 figures, you are broke as shit. Well, the average U.S. salary is $47,000 a year. If you're making $100,000, you're twice the average salary. So you're not exactly broke at that point. It's like some guy going like, I have a 9-inch dick. Well, anything under 21 inches, that's tiny, dude. Like if you're like, sign up for my $480 course on how to add 15 inches to your dick in 3 easy steps using tactical soap massages. Now that's snake oil, and you're probably better off staying away from that guy. But just if something over promises on results, but you have to kind of get sunk into it before you get the results. That's Scientology in a nutshell. Like you're paying for it for the first 10 steps and you're $1 million in before you get, the big secret. And I don't like that business model. Like if you wondering, are Carl's books any good? Go read my blog. I have over 250 essays that are free. I have thousands of tweets out, and I would like to say I have the funniest Twitter feed in the Manosphere, especially on Fridays and Saturdays when I drink. I mean, my quips are good when I'm sober, but my tweets when I'm drunk as shit on Twitter are the best.
Let's always say, great Rollo is angry Rollo, drunk Carl is the greatest Carl.
Right.
Gentlemen,
right.
you are watching the 65th episode of the Radman Group. We are brought to you by 21 University. If you're looking to kick even more of life's ass, you need to get your ass over to 21university.com. 21 University is a video streaming service for men that provides the best videos in the world on self-improvement, dating, health, philosophy, and more, all in a tightly focused, perfectly designed, distraction-free environment. 21 University will also help you take control of your dating life, get healthy, grow strong, create wealth, earn more, master your career, and become the author of your life to become your ideal man. Go to 21university.com today to get a free month. We are also sponsored by Tactical Soap, which will instantly turn your cock. Oh man, I lost it. Dang it. Well,
here, can I do the sales pitch on this one?
21. Listen, which will instantly give you a 21-inch dick. I'd actually like to address that too, by the way. And we're going to open up the phone lines here. But Ryan, what are your thoughts? See, the thing is that we joke about Tactical Soap like being alpha soap. Oh, it's going to make you the king of all alphas. That's not snake oil. This is just us trying to support a guy who puts his neck on the line by supporting us. And it's sort of satirical. Does Tactical Soap, does it have pheromone? Is it pheromone enhancing? Yes, it is. Does that mean you're going to get women throwing themselves at you? I don't know. It really just kind of depends. I use Tactical Soap because I've got a shitload of it. What do you say?
I do the soap thing too. This is on again. Like I said, I keep screwing up the fucking music.
No, you're good.
I like it. I like the Fight Club references to it. If you guys don't remember that scene in Fight Club where they were building soap off of the fat of In the book, it was Marla's mom who gave it to her for liposuction.
Yes.
But it's essentially taking a broken system and then carving some value out of it. I enjoy that part of it. The irony's not lost on me. I do like how it's like Bond, Maverick, Durden. But at the end of the day, it actually is pretty good because I'm tired of my wife's lavender body wash. I hate smelling like a chick when I walk out. And we have some fun with it. Like I joke around about the pheromones. I mean, if pheromones are the only thing that's keeping you away from all kinds of chicks, then congratulations. But for most people, just being social does it. But here's the thing. So she washes me in the shower with this stuff, and she makes like a big joke about the pheromones. It's like a game thing. So we play around with it. I think it's awesome. I smell like cedarwood. It's a decent soap. It's pretty good.
Love it.
Yeah. And it's something she can play with while she's, washing me like the royal penis is clean, my lord. In what was that, Coming to America?
Nichols Hope. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's great. And you know what? You're right. We are a really non-advertiser friendly brand to begin with. So somebody actually willing to put their neck out on me, I'm like, whatever. But at the end of the day, if it was the kind of soap that ended up cracking up your skin and making you smell like a woman, then I probably wouldn't be behind it. And I'll play it up. Oh yeah, the pheromones will get you like blowjobs from the dogs across the street or whatever. Like whatever. If you take this seriously, I got nothing for you.
Right.
I really do.
Right.
It's just soap. It's
my thing with the soap is just I don't sell it, but the way I see it is you're going to buy soap anyway.
Yeah.
Why not buy soap that's made for men and it supposedly smells good and it supports a guy who's willing to support the Manosphere, and that's rare.
Yeah,
so
that's
you're going to buy that soap anyway.
That's the point too, and you'll notice that on all I'm not sponsored by any soap. I don't have any sponsors, to be honest with you, other than here on the Redman Group. But that was already established by people who weren't me. But like, it's not to say that I wouldn't be open to some kind of sponsorships from or affiliate or whatever it is on my other stuff. I will never monetize the Rational Male. You have my promise that I never have and I never will monetize the Rational Male. And I reach over 500,000 people 500,000 views every month on the Rational Male. And I used to think that was not all that great, but I guess it's okay. 500,000 people is not too bad. And so could I monetize it? Yes, I have turned down monetization offers often enough, but there's a commitment to keeping things. I don't ever.
Well, you don't use it yourself. Why would you recommend it? For
right. Well,
else,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And that's the other thing is I would be very particular about that. So what's funny to me is like when guys say, well, Rollo doesn't have a sponsorship, whatever, with Tactical Soap. Okay, whatever. But like, that's not to say that like if the guys from Hard Luck Kings, the guitar company said, hey, we're going to send you a few free guitars here, can you put a link or can you give us a plug on your blog? I would probably do that because I like what they have. But then what would happen? Would people, oh man, he's sold out to the Hard Luck Kings guitar company?
I would just be happy
what would it be?
Ibanez.
How do you yeah, exactly. How would you turn that around? I don't know. Sometimes I think I wanted to actually address the Anthony quote unquote problem here, and I think that this is just guys. I think this is guys trying to make a bigger deal out of what Anthony is doing than. Really, again, like you guys were saying, the attacks are just coming on him because he's doing something, and they're saying that
side of the internet.
Well, like when we did the Lamborghini commercial or whatever, that was one thing. And when I was doing it, I knew. I think everybody, even Elliot Hulse, knew what we were. We knew we were going to be triggering. We knew that everything is pretty much tongue in cheek. It's not like when Anthony's doing his plugs with Tactical Soap and the chick's in bed with him, and he's just he's playing that up. He's playing it up because he knows it fucking triggers you, man. Because he knows that it gets under your skin, and that's just him being Anthony. So my question back is like, what else is there? Tell me what else there is. Remember, and people don't remember this, is I turned Anthony down when he first offered me to come and speak on the 21 convention. I told him I'm not going to do it because he had a purple pill convention. Nick Krauser says I wouldn't do it, so I didn't do it. And I looked at it and I understood why. And then he hit me up and he had his point of epiphany with his ex-wife. and he was reading my books, and he was, really making some progress. He said, well, what would you do? And so I said, here's some names. These would be some good guys to get on here. If you really want me to be on your show or you're on your gig, I would put these guys in as speakers. And I'm still doing that right now. That's how Ryan got on. That's how all of you guys got on this, is because I said, let's get these guys on there. That's one of the reasons why Hunter Drew is where he's at right now. And I'm not saying that I'm the kingmaker or some shit like that. I'm just saying that these were good dudes. We got Hotep Jesus I should announce that we got Hotep Jesus as a speaker for the 21 convention in October.
No shit, man.
Because
Dude, I have a dick bigger.
Well, because I have a good relationship with Brian, and I like the dude, and I was like, you should be, because his new book, I'm helping him with the cover on his new book right now. And he's talking about red pill, from an intersexual dynamics perspective in his book. And I said, dude, you need to be a speaker. Come and be on. This is what we're about. And he accepted. I introduced him to Anthony, and now we have him on board. And I think that that's a net positive. But when we're putting these things out, it's not just Anthony just, going, oh, how can I make some money here? It's not like he's doing that. It's like, I've been kind of like a silent partner with him, saying, hey, let's get Rich Cooper. Hey, let's get Ryan. Let's get Hunter. Let's get Jack Murphy. Like last year, I tried to get Jack Murphy for 2017, but for whatever reason, we couldn't. Ed Lattimore, I said, let's get Ed Lattimore on here. He couldn't do it 2017, came on 2018. So when you look at what we're doing, and you look at the people who are coming to these, and a lot of people have I think it's becoming a little bit more popular to be sort of an event organizer right now, because it's almost becoming a template in itself. Like, a lot of guys will go to these seminars, like the get rich quick online seminars, and they'll sell them on, this, what we call success porn. They'll build them up, and it'll be all about power of positive thinking. And then they'll go, okay, so as part of your fee, we're going to give you a Joomla template so you can have sort of a cookie cutter blog. And it doesn't matter what you're talking about, just as long as you're outspoken enough that you don't have any product. You just have to, it's all, you don't have to have a stake. You just have to sell the sizzle. That's what it really comes down to with these guys. And I see that there's a lot of other people are seeing what Anthony's doing, and they're trying to get into the game themselves. And so it's a webinar at first, and then maybe they rent out a hotel room somewhere, wherever they are, and they try to get people to commit to coming out. So really, what's the overhead is flying the person out there, feeding them, I guess, getting them a hotel room, and have them come on and speak for 1 hour, and then suddenly you're making a good chunk of change, right? And so there's definitely a business template, I should say, for that. But you have to look for who has the stake and who has just the sizzle. And right now, I see a lot of people who want to follow in Anthony's footsteps when it comes to building a convention or building something.
You ain't got the stake, brother.
But yeah, there's no stake there.
Right.
It's just sizzle. And this, I should also say, this is like, I don't think that there is an Anthony problem. I think what there is there's an authenticity problem, and there's an idea that what makes one convention more authentic than the other convention. Like the Good Man Project, they have a convention. They do. Or we just locked horns with the MRAs. The MRAs are more well known for the women in the men's rights movement than they are for the guys that are in there, and they are the ones who are organizing their the whatever it is, the International Men's Convention that's about men's issues, but not men.
They're more switched on too. Like, girl rates what? She's probably one of the smartest people on there.
So yeah, no doubt. And people, and I know I've locked horns with Karen before. I again admire the hustle, right? She's doing it, but I just don't fundamentally agree with egalitarian equalism. I don't agree in building a better beta. I don't agree with there's fundamental disagreements that I have with the MRAs, that until those things change, I'm not going to go speak at any of those conventions, because I would be putting the Rational Male co-branded with that, and I'm not going to do that. I will co-brand with Anthony until such time that it becomes more about the sizzle and less about the steak. And all I can say is that I'm helping out. I'm doing my part. I'm helping with the speakers list. I'm helping guys get the guys that I think have good content, that have a commitment and an obligation to truth. I'm getting those guys to come here and to come and speak on these. And, it's at the end of the day, it's Anthony's final call. He can say who comes and who doesn't. And I have had my disagreements with him. There's certain personalities that I don't think that should be, associated with us, but that's not my call. It's not my convention. But until such time that it becomes less about the truth and all about the hustle, then I'm going to still put my name to it. And that's you're going to just have to take if anybody who's my critics, you're just going to have to take my word for that, because what else is there right now? I wanted this. When I first did the Man in Demand conference with Christian McQueen, I knew right then and there that there needed to be something like this. And there needed to be like a TED Talk for the Manosphere. There needed to be a Red Pill Summit. And, Christian was doing his own thing, and it was going to be either me organizing it, or I was going to have to find some kind of team or somebody. And, Anthony had the infrastructure. It was already right there. And he had the balls to kick off all of the purple pill guys who had pretty much made that convention what it was up to that point. I don't think people really realize that. He took a lot of shit for that. He basically destroyed his old business model to adopt one that was more based on the stuff that I was talking about. And he took the chance to say, okay, tell me who you would have be speakers at this. And so I gave him the list, and here we are now. So if you think that there's an Anthony problem, tell me what's the alternative. Tell me where should I be? If I shouldn't be co-branding with the 21 convention, tell me where I should be. Tell me what I should do. There's nothing. There's absolutely fucking nothing. And that's why I'm still doing this. And like I said, my commitment is to the truth. My commitment is, like, if I have to take a hit if I have to take a hit in the hustle to be truthful about what I'm talking about, that's where I'm going to go. If I have to say, well, I'm going to lose followers for telling this truth, then I'm going to lose followers, because that's my obligation right now. The reason that I'm not going to say I quit, but the reason I scaled back my real life job working in the liquor industry was because I hit 50 years old, and I said, what do I want to be remembered for? Do I want to be remembered for, like, I got some pretty good brands. I made some good money off of this. Do I want to be remembered for that, or do I want to be remembered as Rollo Tomassia, the guy who helped out a lot of people and saved a lot of lives? When guys come up to me and say, man, you literally, I had the gun in my mouth, and your work pulled it out of my mouth. That is invaluable. You can't put a price tag on that, because you've not only have you saved that guy's life, you have saved the lives of probably his kids. You probably saved the lives of all the people who were invested in that guy as a person. And so you're damn right. If I'm gonna stick with the truth, and I'm gonna stay with red pill awareness. I'm gonna tell things that are gonna be tough, and they're gonna be bad for business. They're not only just gonna be bad for my business, they're gonna be bad for RSD's business. And you know what? They might even be bad for business for people who are speakers at the 21 convention themselves. And you know what? I have a commitment to that. And if people say, well, you're negative, or if I am in some way damaging, but if I'm some way limiting you because you're associated with the 21 convention and Rollo is part of that, then they're making that association. I would suggest that you don't need those followers as bad as you think you need those followers.
Well said. Before I get to Carl here, before we quickly go to area code 474.
Yeah, we should take some calls too.
No, that's totally fine. And by the way, the phone lines are open, 914-205-5356. The truth is the stake, the hustle is the sizzle. I think that's a good parallel there. Carl, what did you have on this?
No, I just wanted to say that, I mean, the feeling I keep getting is every time the Manosphere gets to a certain size, it kind of goes through infighting and everything breaks down and we have to start building it again. So I get the feeling that a lot of guys want to collect all the major players in the Manosphere, rent out a German castle, and come up with the red pill purity laws that will be enforced harshly. And that's just never going to be the case. There are too many independent men here, and we have to focus on what we agree on and what the big picture is, so we can stop. What is the final solution to the Anthony question? Like, where do we deport the guys who break the line? And I think that just gets to the point where it's ridiculous. Look at what value someone's creating. and accept that, okay, this guy, he does 50% shit I disagree with, 50% shit I agree with. So I'm going to focus on those 50% where we agree. And as long as he doesn't do anything, completely off the scale on the other end, I'm just going to work with him to create something great and bigger than both of us. I mean, I don't agree with the guys who get involved in politics. I think that's probably what's going to create a lot of problems for us. But some guys get into that, so I will cooperate with them on the red pill side, and I'll ignore their political shit, and I'll kindly request that they don't tag me in their Deuce Volt bait. That's all you need to do.
I think what it comes down to is that our biggest detractors, and Wolf in the chat said it best, it's just guys who are envious, right? And guys who are known red pill YouTubers, bloggers, whatever, they attack us because they want in, and for whatever reason they can or they won't, or they wish they had thought of the idea first. That's just what it comes down to. 914-205-5356 is the number to call. Area code 474. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hi guys, it's Brett from Norway.
Hey, good to be. Oh yeah, Brett from Norway again. How you doing, man?
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for a great show, and thank you, really, guys, for that helped me a lot in my life. Like, I just want to say to Rollo, I will thank him for telling the truth, because I have studied your books and I have compared it to my life, my relationships, my society here in Norway, and I have also compared it. You work with men who have lost their wives, their kids, and they lost everything. And everything in your books is true. And I just want to say, I study in university and I read hundreds of books, and including self-help books and dating books. But none of these books have helped me as much as your books. And thank you for this information, because now I can be proud as a man and live according to my nature. Before I was like really beta, I was unsure of myself. So I'm not ashamed anymore about being a man. And I've also stopped the society to manipulating me. Yeah. So it's strange when people attacking Rollo, and really because of these books, Rollo, I have saved 5 men from being manipulated in their relationships.
Oh wow!
So thank you again, guys, for continue work, and don't let the haters stop you, because millions of men like me need your help, really, and you really deserve all the money you get from this work. Thank you.
I appreciate it, man.
All right.
Go ahead.
Thanks for saying that.
Yeah, and I have done this thing for 1 year now. I have compared your work with because I'm also among the people in my society. So it's one question. We have a strange phenomenon here in Norway. Like 70% of the teachers are women, and the girls, they are doing it better than guys at school in almost every subject. And the scientists or the people who try to find an answer to this, they say it's because of the teachers. They vote they vote the kids differently, but I don't believe that. So Rollo, do you have any answer of this? Why does guys do it less better than girls, and is it any solution for this?
That is a very good question. Very, very good question, man. So I think what he is asking, if I'm not mistaken, he's asking, why is it that girls excel in the classroom than while boys get left behind? My quick answer is that all studying is, in the American sense, it's just memorizing. Girls thrive in an environment that isn't really active. You sit them down, you say memorize X, Y, and Z, you're going to be tested on it. Boys learn by skinning our knees, turning a wrench, getting dirty. This is why girls do better in school with the education, and boys do much better in trades. What's your answer on that, Rollo?
Well, here's the first thing I would say is that he sees the code in the matrix here, at least when he's talking about how 70% of teachers are female in wherever, Norway, I guess. That is actually pretty low, because the stats that I have, I've got a really neat infographic about this too, but the stats that I have is that 77% of teachers are female from kindergarten all the way up through grad school in the United States anyways. And it was this infographic was really just sort of to raise awareness to the fact that we need more men in education. And why don't men enter, why don't men see a teaching career as a viable choice? And it's become very, very dangerous in academia right now for a man to want to assert himself. God forbid he wanted to do something like teach grammar school kids. They don't, those positions don't pay a lot of money. But they are very vitally important. But you're also, if I was a guy right now and I said, okay, you know what, I really feel passionate to teach children, people would raise an eyebrow at you. They would go, oh, really? You want to teach children? You're a man and you want to be around children. And so there's this there's stigma that goes along with that, where if you have an interest in children as a man, you are instantly, suspected of pedophilia. There's something that's a little bit off with you. Now, if you are a guy who say, I want to be a coach, well, then maybe that's okay. Like, you can go and do stuff like that. But for the most part, women have fundamentally restructured at least public education, and I would say a good portion of private education as well. So what's happening is, because of Title IX and a lot of the things that have happened since like the sexual revolution in through the 70s, we have adopted into our education system what I call fempowerment. And fempowerment is how many special programs, how much special dispensation can we give to empower little girls to be better than boys. And now we're seeing the results of that. So what happens is you got boys and girls, and they learn differently. Okay, here's a shocker for you. Men and women are different. Boys and girls are different. Those changes, those neurological changes, the way that we evolved and the way that our brains are functioning, all of that, the differences happen in the womb. It's not nurture, or excuse me, it's not nature, it's nurture. Or excuse me, it's nurture, not wait, you got it. Nature, not nurture. So there is fundamental distinctions between the way that little boys learn and little girls learn. But we have altered the education system such that the women who are the ones who are in charge of the education system are teaching in a pro-female way. That's why I say that we teach our little boys as if they're defective girls. We want them to just sort of settle down, and we don't give them yard time, and we don't give them, we don't teach boys in the way that boys learn best. We expect them to, because we live in a feminine primary society. So anything that is female is correct. So we teach boys to loathe their own gender. We teach them to contemplate why, what it is that they don't like about being a boy. I have several. If you read the third book, I have several chapters and essays in that book about the learning process. But the short story is that we have changed the education process to be pro-female, and we're putting boys into that process, and consequently, boys do not function as well as girls, or they do not perform as well. There's another great book called, I used this for my speech actually this weekend, was The Boy Crisis by Dr. Warren Farrell, that goes into the statistics about exactly what he's talking about here, and how boys are at a disadvantage right now, particularly in public schools, because they are taught as if they are little girls, or that they're supposed to be. So what Donnie's saying is very, very true. And so now what you're seeing is the results of that. That's why there's way more women in college right now than there are men.
Thank you.
And what does that do? That fundamentally alters the nature, the intersexual dynamics between men and women, because women want a guy who is more educated than them, wants to be more, is taller than them, makes more money than them, has been to school for longer and has made more of themselves, because that is a high value man. It's not just about sex appeal. It's also about what you've done. It's also about who you are as a guy, and what your ambitions are, and how you built yourself into the best version that you can. Guys are already starting at a disadvantage. They're starting at a disadvantage from the time they're 5 years old, and they have to work their way through that. I think part of growing up for guys is really, it's going to be vital that they have a red pill awakening, that they understand that, because otherwise they're just going to live a life where they are subordinate to women. We're already seeing that on covers of magazines. I saw this thing, I think it was on Elle magazine. It had Oprah on there, and Oprah was saying that she was quoted as saying that, boys need to understand that they are subordinate to girls. I'll put that up there. I'll go dig that up. I have that somewhere around here. But
Oh,
that is the zeitgeist right now. That is the spirit of the times, is that boys and men need to man down and women need to sort of man up. And you're seeing, that's why you see that performance imbalance between boys and girls right now, because we teach our boys as if they're defective girls. I'll look that up. I think it's somewhere.
Carl,
I can't believe Oprah let us down like that. That's tragic.
it is, but it's
Stedman, you let us down.
Of all people, I know, but I mean, but it's well, like you have Ariana Grande, who's got a song out called "God Is a Woman," right? I mean, and that's on the cover of Elle as well.
Of course. Carl, what do you have on this before we go to 512 and 303?
Well, first off, just let me say, I actually agree with Ariana Grande that God is probably a woman, because if you read the Bible, he keeps going back and forth. He doesn't know what he wants. He seems to be really emotionally labile, changes his mood, is vengeful, then he's happy, and then he's vengeful again. I mean, that's a chick if I ever saw one.
Hey, man, you have a point.
No, what I wanted to get into is you have, like, when you have 70% teachers are women, you get a female environment. In that female environment, it's always going to be pro-conformity, pro-indirectness. If you're not going to challenge the teacher directly. Like, boys are much more likely to challenge their teacher or to, learn by discussing things roughly. And, at the end, you also have the sisterhood uber alles, as Rollo likes to put it. They're always going to, treat women preferentially to men in grading, in classroom time, in attention from teacher. And you're also not going to have, like, those tough male teachers that are going to kind of whip your ass into line. Like, usually that was the gym teacher or something that would take all the guys who were acting out and just beat the crap out of them on the field. And that would kind of force them into line. And you're not going to have that with female teachers, because they're always going to be, hey, play nice. You're not getting any yard time. The best grades go to the people who are the nicest to me and who do exactly what I say. So that's just not a good environment for boys to grow up in. And it's one that they're likely to fail in. And you see the major difference when you get into university, because there's a marked difference between the hard sciences and the
there you go.
All right, here's that Oprah quote. The Oprah quote is this: the new generation of boys should be raised to believe that girls are their equals and sometimes their superiors.
Poor Oprah. She didn't believe a goddamn word of that. I've said this before we get to the calls. Area code 512-303 and 760. This is why educated women are frauds, because most people walking around in America who have 4-year degrees are women. That's why we know that 4-year degrees are easy. But when it comes to post-secondary education and vocations, occupations that actually make a difference in the world, doctors, lawyers, believe it or not, hate lawyers all you want, doctors, lawyers, surgeons, pilots, dude, a good 70% of these people, probably more than that, are all men. Engineers, mostly men. Engineering students, mostly men. As far as women's studies and social work and this and that and the third, those are mostly women. There's a reason for that, is because these occupations are hard. It's easy to get a 4-year degree. It's very, very difficult to learn how to weld. It's very, very difficult to be an architect and put together a bridge, right? You got to weld it underwater. It's got to come in under budget, so you have to have the accounting there. Maybe the barometric pressure changes. That takes some serious wizardry, and this is where women fall short when they don't get that post-secondary education. Post-secondary education is hard, and it challenges them. That's why most women don't do it. Let's go to the phone lines. Area code 512. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hey guys, I wanted to ask you about the motivations of white knights. One of the whitest white knights
to get laid.
Yeah,
to get laid. That's it. The motivation.
No.
The motivation of white knights is to impress milady, so that she will then give him her.
Let him finish. Because I got a good one for this one. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I know where he's going, but go ahead.
Well, this guy's in his 60s, and he talks about how back when he was in his 20s and 30s. He was an acting coach, and he used to have sex with his students. Do you think white knights are trying to cover up a history of bad behavior?
Wow, good question.
The male feminist thing, yeah.
Okay.
You mean like repenting for his sins? Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you. There might be something to that, depending on what the guy's about. That's a I think I would say that if there is a guy like that, you said he's in his 60s. Is he still on
Yeah,
there?
he's in his 60s now.
Okay, so he's in his 60s right now. So he's probably trying to get on with the spirit of the times kind of thing. A lot of male, I wouldn't say this guy's necessarily a white knight so much as he is a male feminist, or he has at some point decided that he wants to become a male feminist. And you know what I always say about that is, as soon as you identify as a male feminist, that's when the abuse or the harassment or the rape charges are inbound. Maybe it could be that one of the reasons why he's doing this is because he realizes that Me Too doesn't have a statute of limitations anymore.
Right.
And so is probably trying to put himself out there and to sort of head him off at the pass kind of thing, to preempt any accusations of that. So why would he do that? I would say I've seen a lot of guys that do that right now. A lot of high profile guys who, when Me Too came out, a lot of celebrities tried to say, "Oh, I'm all for Me Too," and they wanted to get behind it and they wanted to declare themselves as male feminists, but they were doing that to preempt the charges that they knew were going to come at them anyways, because they see their friends going down. And so that's why when I look at like celebrities and their virtue signaling about Me Too, that's why the joke is, as soon as you start to identify as a male feminist, that means that, most likely there's charges in there.
Yeah, right, exactly. Ryan, what's your take on this?
Yeah, well, two things. I'll answer his question, and then the question I think he should answer himself. One, you don't want to get into somebody else's head. As soon as you start trying to figure out somebody's motivations, like what's in their inner thoughts, that's a dangerous road. That's the same one as guys who project their egos onto women, and then they think they got a perfect princess, but they're ignoring red flags. So all you need to know is that it's unattractive and most likely disingenuous. But to answer your question, it could be a few things. There's the idea that the same way you would want to buy, everybody loves coffee, but people really love buying free trade coffee, because they understand that by buying coffee, you're basically being really crappy towards like little Guatemalan farmers somewhere that aren't getting paid well. So the idea is, and the same as like blood diamonds, when you're buying those diamonds that are mined in Canada that have no blood on them.
Yeah.
It's that you want to take part in something that's generally seen as socially unacceptable and have your Catholic confession attached to it. So I would argue that part of it could be that he's sleeping with his old students, but then telling everybody that, no, you shouldn't be doing this because it's not nice, or whatever rationale he's using. Part of it is he's looking for his own redemption. And that's the thing. So it's not, it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with how people are acting. He's looking to soothe his own soul. And that's like a Twain quote from What Is Man? A great book, by the way, if you want to read about philosophy, but you don't want to sound like an idiot, because he uses very common language on it, but he expresses the points very well.
Who would want to do something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Who would want to do that? What's the point of being smart if you can't sound smart? I mean, come on.
Carl, what's your take, brother?
Well, I'm going to go with what I call the brimstone preacher principle. For those who do not follow my Twitter feed, you're really missing out. But the brimstone preacher principle was inspired by all these Southern Baptist preachers who would be up on the pulpit every weekend, lambasting homosexuals every weekend. Then, suddenly they get caught in a Motel 6 with 3 male prostitutes all dressed up in leather. And I think it's a lot of the same thing. And I don't like speculating on people's motivation, but I do tend to think that people engage in goal-oriented behavior. That's kind of the foundation of doing a praxeology, that people do certain things to get certain things. And in this case, it could be to soothe his own guilt from what he used to do. Could be a way to kind of increase his status in the eyes of others as a morally good man. That's like when the pickup artist who'd been banging hoes in 47 area codes decides to suddenly become a patriarch. So he moves into the forest, grows a huge ass beard, gets some flannel, and starts doing push-ups in the shower. And then you have the most common one, was it's a technique to get laid. I think Godsod, the researcher, called it the sneaky fucker strategy, where you're kind of being the innocuous guy who just kind of sneaks your way in there. So you're like supportive and you're nice, and she calls you like 11 o'clock at night. And it's like, this bad elf, I just broke up with me, broke my heart. I don't really want to be alone right now. And you kind of sneak in there and she's really vulnerable and you ply her with 8 or 10 wine coolers and suddenly your panties are off and it just happened. So that's the other one. And I think the best way to see it, look at the male feminists. How many male feminists, loudly proclaimed male feminists, do we have that have been charged with some kind of sexual assault by now?
There you go.
I mean, it's
all the time.
Well, it's almost like if some guy comes out really loud as a male feminist, the accusations come the next week.
There you go.
So you just have to look at it and stop speculating on what people are thinking. That was one of the major issues I had with Upstream back in the day, that everything was based on kind of trying to figure out what people were thinking and, second guessing the motivation behind things. And most of them just look at the behavior. If this guy is saying, oh, you shouldn't really be sleeping with your students, and you see his students going in and out of his house like it was a Catholic church, then perhaps go ahead and guess that, okay, he's probably lying about that, and he's just doing it to maintain a public image and distract away from what he's doing in private.
Yeah, you just triggered Rollo there. You just said Upstream. So beware when Rollo gets
Who?
I'm going to...
That was Carl. He said Upstream.
Who?
There we are. He's taking the high road. He's taking the high road. Let's go back to the phone lines here. Area code. Before we go to area code 303, let me shout out a few super chats here. Tommy Bahama, it looks like, says with a $5 super chat, says, all the free content you guys put out is priceless. My life has changed drastically. You have no idea how much you've changed my life. Steve the Dean is the man. JC says, women want free stuff men earn. Diesel Smoke 35 MJG with the $4.99 super chat says, thank you for answering a lot of my questions with harsh truths that all men need to hear. Chris Baker with the $5 super chat says, guys, you should do a show on crazy sports dads like Earl Wood's dad and Ichiro's dad. I mean, crazy dads who push them into sports early. Yeah, Chris, that could probably be a show, but the two examples you used were very, very bad. Because Tiger Woods is one of the greatest golfers ever, and Ichiro is a first ballot surefire Hall of Famer. I think the sports dads that are probably a little bit easier to make sort of make fun of are guys like Marv Marinovich. Watch the Marinovich Project, ESPN 30 for 30. All right, area code 303, you're up, man.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Conk.
Oh, Conk.
Hey.
How are you doing, man?
Hey, what's up?
Donkey.
I kind of wanted to go back to the education system thing.
Sure.
And I just got 2 quick questions for Rollo, or really anybody. And then I got to go take a piss, so I'm going to hang up after I say my question.
Yeah, well,
So,
good. Keep it brief.
Yeah, of course. So first one is on the education system. Like we're always talking about, the teachers are treating everyone like they're girls, even the boys. They're just defective girls.
Mm-hmm.
How does Solib system revolve into that? Because that's kind of how I feel it is that the female teacher doesn't understand the boy is not exactly like her at her age when she was that age. And then the second part is, how would we correct that? Like if we just got full reins of control of the Department of Education, how could we make school so that it's maximally beneficial for guys and girls? Do we segregate schools? Do we have a separate curriculum? What do we do to fix that if we could?
Sure.
Carl, yeah. What you got on this, Carl? Carl? Yeah.
It just took me a second to unmute. No, the thing with the education system, I just think I think separating boys and girls in education will go a long way towards helping it. But I think more importantly, I think you have different methods of learning. And I think if we could create an objective system for categorizing that, so you can assign people according to their preferred method of learning, the one that works the best for them, within 3 or 4 categories, I think that would go a long way towards helping the education system. Because I think the military is a prime example of a learning environment that's perfectly adapted to boys. Because the way you learn things in the military is, okay, so the instructor sees that you don't have the butt of the gun tightly pressed against your shoulder. He's not going to tell you and yell at you for not doing it. He's going to let you fire that gun an inch away from your shoulder and dislocate your fucking shoulder, and then you learn. You're never going to do that again. And that was kind of like how my grandfather worked too. When I was 3 years old, and I was about to go piss on an electric fence, and he saw what I was doing, and I did it, and then he walked over to me, put a hand on my shoulder, and says, "You're not going to do that again, are you?"
Yeah, the answer was probably
And
not.
I think Yeah, I think that's the best one. Best way for men to learn. And I also think, getting the feelings out of education to some extent, making it so that, okay, you have objective criteria, you have competition, and you kind of leverage what's good with boys.
Okay.
So that's
Ryan,
what I got on it.
what are your thoughts on the educational system as it applies to boys?
Yeah, I'm not good at that. See, I still had male teachers, and then through the military, I kind of got a better way of teaching. I would think most people I've seen that are success stories, they can carve out some level of success. I'm not smart enough to be able to say what you need to do if you need all boys schools, all girls schools. All I can say is that at some point, when the kid is young, the parents have to take an active role in making sure their kids are educated. And then at a certain point, the kid has to take responsibility for himself. As far as how that looks, that's really outside my wheelhouse. I know what the end result would look like, but I really couldn't give an articulate reason of why my way would be better than anybody else's. I know it's kind of a dodgy answer, but I try not to answer things if I don't know a good answer to it.
Sure. Rollo, what you got, man?
All right, so he's. Am I on? Yeah, I am. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the first couple of things I wanted to hit on the solipsism thing. Yeah, I really need to do a. I need to do a post, or not a post, but I need to do a Red Pill 101 with Pat and talk about solipsism, because that's kind of an in-depth subject. It's my take that. Damn it! Who's typing now? See, hear that? Who is that? Oh, that must be.
My hands are up.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Anyways, so solipsism is there's I would get really into this if I answer too much. I think that that there's probably an element of solipsism when it comes to the education of little boys and little girls, particularly because we have 77% of teachers are female. So you're going to be dealing with innate solipsism. You're also going to be dealing with the innate solipsism of the little girls, of female students as well. So it's almost like kind of the double whammy there. Whereas, and the fact that they're making boys subordinate to the female correctness in all of this only reinforces what the idea of solipsism, meaning that the boys are just there to sort of facilitate the realities of the girls, and they're a hindrance to the education process. So that's one of the reasons we sedate boys. That's why we have ADHD drugs, and we have Ritalin, and we have Adderall. And it's like, well, if the little boy can't learn like a little girl, then we need to sedate him. We need to medicate him and put him in the corner, so all the other little girls and boys who want to learn can sit and learn in a female primary process. And so we medicate, we sedate our kids, and we just put them in the corner. Now, I'm not saying that that's the case in every instance, but I'm saying that that's like broadly true. I mean, that's the idea, anyways. If we can just find some way to put kids, to put the boys over here and to isolate them and to separate them, and that gets to what he's talking about here when it comes to correction. And that's the second part, is how do you correct this? Well, the only way that I see correcting this is to put more male influence into the education system. He asked about segregation, and that's exactly what I was just talking about. We're already segregating. We're segregating little boys from little girls, only the little boys who don't want to learn. The little boys who don't want to learn like a little girl does. They don't accept the programming that they're being fed, and they still want to be little boys and run around and be little bastards, and go have fun on the, just be a boy. We know for a fact that boys and girls are different. We know for a fact that girls mature faster than boys, but they only mature to a point, and then boys mature and they surpass them in that maturity. But we hinder our boys, and we kneecap them so that they don't get too strong. And if people want to ask me, like, what's the end result? Why is this happening? Well, the end result, or the end goal of this, is to have a serviceable young man who is there to support the ambitions and the empowerment of women. Ultimately, at the end, like when a guy gets to say into his mid-20s to his maybe 30 years old, he's there and he's serviceable. And you can see this happen too. They've done, I gotta dig up the video, but there's a video that they did, this research team did, where they asked little boys from the age of like maybe 5 years old, and they videotaped these kids, and they said, what is it mean to be a boy? And the little boys at 5 years old were just like, yeah, it's great to be a boy. I like to play on the swing set. I like to throw, baseball, blah, blah, blah. And they're basically little boys. And then they go to a 7-year-old, and then they go to an 8-year-old, and then they go to a 10-year-old, and then they go to a 13-year-old. And as they go and they ask these kids, what is it like to be a boy? You can see the result of their indoctrination, because when those kids get to be like 8 or 9 years old, they go, well, it's good to be a boy, but we need to help girls a little bit more. And they start getting, it's almost as if they were given this education in women's studies that they need to, is just what Oprah is talking about. We need to teach boys that girls are their equals and sometimes they're superiors. Well, if it benefits a little boy in the long run, or if he makes teachers happy, remember where the purpose of education right now is really to remove any semblance of a boy making himself his own mental point of origin and making womankind his mental point of origin. So when he's put on the spot in front of a camera and he's asked, what's it like to be a boy, or what does it mean to be a boy or be a man, then right about 9, 10, 11, that's when they get really down on themselves, and you can see the gender loathing training really come out in them, because they know that they're on a camera and they know that this is going to be watched by other people, and they want to be liked by the female correct social order. So this is what they say. And so when you get up to like 18, 20 some odd years old, when they're into college, and you ask them the same questions, then their answers get a lot more complex, but it's still basically the same training that they've had since when they were like 6 or 7 years old. It's just that they didn't know how to articulate it like they do right now. So there is a definite process for that. So how do you interrupt that process? Well, you've got to put men into that. You have to, first of all, you have to have the will to change. And there is no will to change right now. There will never be a will to change until something fucks up. This is should we take women's rights away? Should we disempower women to re-empower men? That's simply not going to happen. But what's going to happen is there's going to have to be some sort of upheaval where we say, you know what, the old way of doing what we've been doing and educating our kids for the last 40 years isn't working the way we thought it was going to work. So now we need to change the system up. There has to be a will to change, and there is no will to change right now.
Good stuff, man. Well said, Rollo. Let's go to our last call of the day. Area code 760. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. I think that's me.
Yep.
Okay, great. I have a couple things I would like to say. First, I've learned more about my own nature from listening to you fellas than pretty much my previous 64 years. I'm a 64-year-old woman. I've been married 45 years.
Should we say thank you or I'm sorry? I don't know. I'm just kidding. I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry, man.
I'll have to re-listen to it because I'm not hearing too well on my phone because I guess I'm old. Anyway, my question is, I was having a conversation with my granddaughter who's going to be graduating from college this coming Sunday, and I was asking her about her classes, and she said that she was taking Introduction to Feminist Theories. Have you guys heard of such a thing?
No, but it doesn't surprise me.
No, but yeah, exactly. It sounds like it's along the same lines as masculinity studies right now, which are just basically indoctrinations. It's a re-education. So if you didn't get the proper education when you were a little boy, well, you can take a remedial class in college so that you can learn to be a better tool.
Okay. So anyway, I was like appalled by that, and she's like, I was like, really? And she's like, yeah. I said, are you a feminist? She said, yes. Aren't you? I said, hell no. So and then I opened my mouth and I said, well, we're going to have a long discussion about this. Well, now I don't know what to say, so I need your help.
Oh,
wow. I think Rollo is Rollo's probably the guy to answer this, because
how old is she?
She'll be 22 in the very.
So okay, so she's my daughter's age.
oh boy.
Well, and Aaron Clary's are actually probably the better one to ask about this than I am, because he's written books about how the education system indoctrinates, and it basically turns a otherwise like nice, cheerful girl from high school and turns them into a purple haired, crop it short kind of feminist. Another person would, I hate to use him as a suggestion, but Jordan Peterson actually talks about this quite a bit too, about how feminism has infiltrated academia. So how do you talk to this person? Well, again, I would say that it's very similar to how do you unplug a guy who is blue pill. You have to point out issues. If she's already open, or if she's already considering herself to be a feminist, it's probably not because she took this class. It's probably because she's had teachers along the way that have crammed this crap into her head. I think really the best thing that you can do is point out inconsistencies that you see along the way. Point out like, well, what does it mean to, here's a good question to ask her. What does it mean to you to be a feminist? And usually women will say, well, I believe in equality between the sexes. That will be the standard.
What kind of equality?
The trope. Yeah. And so then you have to sort of dig into, well, what does equality mean? Is it equality of outcome, or is it equality of opportunity? You want to fight for women's rights? Great. Tell me what rights women don't have right now. And I hate to turn you into a men's rights activist, because that's just what you'll be accused of. But I think you have to sort of ask the tough questions that they take for granted.
Yes.
Like, well, it's just about equality. No, it's not about equality. It's about female supremacism is what it is. And I hate to, if you care about this person, like if this is your daughter, or if this is somebody that you have a sort of an emotional investment in, and you want to really sit down, I think probably the best way to go about it is to ask tough questions and have that person, or have that girl, answer you back. I think what you're going to find out is she's probably had a lot more training than you think. This is an introduction to feminism. I think that she's probably already had that introduction a long time ago. This is just what she has to take. I would also ask her, like, what is she majoring in? Is she like majoring in like psychology or communications or journalism, or where does she want to go with this?
She's majoring in psychology, and she's going to be starting her master's here soon.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the APA is really just an ideological wing of the feminine imperative right now, according to at least the last guidelines by the APA about traditional masculinity, has pretty much proven where the organization side of psychology is right now. I would encourage her to get into evolutionary psychology and to get into behavioral psychology. But ask the tough questions. I think you really need, this is a really way deeper question than I can get into in just like one Red Man group, but you need to pin her down about like inconsistencies. Like, what do you mean by equality? What does that mean for you? Why do you think that? Why would you, what kind of feminist are you? Honestly, I think that most women today, and if you were born after like 1967, feminism has in some way influenced the way that you think and the belief sets that you have right now. We just simply take them for granted. We take for granted that a woman should have the right to vote. Oh, okay, fine, but that's part of feminism. Whether that's good or that's bad, we can debate that, but that is a part of your belief set that is directly influenced by feminism. So I think really asking her the tough questions is where it all starts. But where you go from there is really how she answers it. I would have to like sit down and like listen to her. I was like, I think what you're probably asking me is like, how do I deprogram my good friend or my, somebody have, and that's a tough case, because she's got an indoctrination. It's going to have to be made real to her.
Yes.
She's going to have to see something firsthand. She's going to want to be militant about it, because she's going to get positive reinforcement from not only her teachers, but the other girls who are in their introduction to feminism classes. And I think it's kind of crazy. You ask her questions like, what does she think about masculinity? What does she think? And granted, she's probably going to say, well, masculinity is toxic and we need to, get men to man down. It's going to just be the same kind of crap. But I wait for your moments. Wait till you see something that that is in, like, always have a dialogue going. Don't be afraid to have that dialogue. But look for things like in the news, look for things like maybe on this show, maybe in the Manosphere, maybe not, maybe just stuff that you see on regular broadcast news or whatever. Maybe an interesting article that you've read about the nature of men and women. Ask her this. This is a really good one. Do you believe that men and women are different, or do you believe in the blank slate? Do you believe that men and women are basically the same thing but with different plumbing? That one will throw them off, because a lot of feminism is based on the blank slate. And it's also and another question to ask is this: do you believe in nature versus nurture? What is your take on that? Do you believe in social constructionism? Because feminism and really most of social justice depends on social construction. It depends on that being the primary. Ask her this also. I hope you're taking notes here. Ask her this and say, what do you think about gender? Is gender something that you're born with, or is it something that is a social construct? Because 9 times out of 10, they will say something about a social construct, it being a social construct. And then there's got to be like 68 different genders or something. That's where you nail them, because you say, well, if that's the case, then it means that homosexuals are the way they are because of behaviorism and not because of them being born that way. Or what do you feel about transgenderism? Does a little kid who's 3 or 4 years old actually have the capacity for abstract thought to understand for itself well enough to decide whether it wants to live as a boy or a girl? They don't answer those questions very well. Those are something, and you got to plant those seeds of doubt. Maybe the teachers that are teaching me this stuff are doing this from an ideological agenda and not to actually have some sort of objective, true. Again, we come full circle in the show. Objective truth. Are they selling an ideology, or are they committed to an objective truth? And I don't think that I don't think that feminism is. Also point out the fact that feminism is a hate group, and it's a hate movement, and it has been since 1848 at Seneca Falls. And there's all kinds of, I would just say, read up on that stuff and make sure that she understands the history of feminism, and not just the suffragettes, getting the right to vote. Also look at the fact that they were a militant, violent group back in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and have a lot of blood on their hands as well. So that's the best advice I can give.
I'll tell you like this, caller. I mean, you ask a very good question, because a lot of guys like to call us up and say, hey, a buddy of mine is about to make a huge mistake marrying this person, whatever the case may be. I'll relate it to a quick story. When I figured out, I was raised in the church, right? Baptist church, all that other kind of stuff. And Jesus Christ was a mythical figure to me. But the problem was I didn't realize that he was a mythical figure. As soon as I learned that Jesus Christ was a real, actual, living human being that actually walked on the face of the earth, that's when I started to question, okay, is this whole Jesus Christ religion thing, is it real? Maybe I'm in a transitional period at this point. Maybe I'm not. But the point is that as soon as it became tangible to me, that's when I really started looking at it from a different perspective. What's going to have to happen is, unfortunately, she's 22. It's already too late for her to be taught these lessons. She is going to have to learn these lessons, okay? What is going to happen is your granddaughter, she's going to fuck a lot of dudes in a very short period of time, right? Listen, and I'm just keeping it 100 here. She's already fucked a lot of dudes in a very short period of time from 18 to 22. That is literally what college is. That's what it is. But instead of ask her the tough questions, caller, but don't debate with her, don't talk with her. Ask her the questions and allow herself to draw her own conclusions. Then maybe after a few months, ask her those same questions, right? So 6 months ago, back in January, I asked you, what do you think it means to be a feminist? Well, here we are in June, July. What's changed? Like, do you still see it the same way? What you have to do, what my anger management counselor always does, he never suggests anything. He knows I'm smart enough to draw my own conclusions and to come to the correct solution on my own, because I'm not a dum-dum. I just have a temper problem. So what he'll do is he'll ask me questions that lead me to the truth. So when you say so instead of saying, hey, feminism is a hate group, ask yourself, you know what? Do you think feminism could be a hate group? Right? So you're making a statement without actually making the statement. And now she's going to start to think, well, wait a minute. I never really thought of feminism being a hate group, right? Don't go back and forth with her, because if you try to cram something down somebody's throat, it is their natural inclination to push back, right? Like you have grandchildren, obviously you have kids. If you had a daughter and you say, don't date XYZ boy, well, what is she going to want to do? She's going to want to date him even more because you simply told her not to. So rather than telling her that feminism is wrong, make it clear that you don't necessarily agree with it. Don't make statements, just ask her questions. Here's another thing. Make feminism tangible to her. Point out examples of militant feminists. Tell her, look at the cat ladies. Look at the fat girl with the blue hair with the ring in her labre, right? Look at the slut walks. Let's Google some pictures of slut walks. You see that girl with the shaved head who dyed her hair pink, who's wearing a tutu and heels she can't walk in, who says, my body, my choice. Do you want to end up like her? No, that's what a feminist is. And here's another thing, caller. Most women will not tell you that they're feminists. You ask the typical American girl, are you a feminist? They're going to tell you no. But what you will find is that they have feminist beliefs. They believe in egalitarian relationships. It's 50-50. They believe that women are equal to men. They believe that men sleeping around with a bunch of women is exactly the same as women sleeping around with a bunch of men. So you have to understand this. There is nothing you can do to save her. All you can do is maybe by the time she's 25, 26, 3 years before she's about to hit the wall, you know what? Grandma's actually been asking me some pretty poignant questions. I've been fucked and chucked by the fifth guy in the last 5 days, and I kind of feel like shit, right? So maybe I'm not doing things the right way. Maybe I need to call up and ask grandma what she thinks. Don't give her your opinion. Just live your life. She'll see what you think. Ask the questions and allow her to draw the conclusions to herself. Because if she doesn't draw these conclusions to herself, area code 760, it's not going to sink in. It's just like religion. No one has ever joined a church when somebody knocks on the door. If you were to die tonight, is your name written in the Lamb's Book of Life? No. People join the church when they lose their job, when their wife dies, when they're trying to beat a drug addiction. Same with the red pill. Men find the red pill when they've been divorce raped, or if their girlfriend cheated on them. Women renounce feminism when they figure out, holy shit, I'm depressed and I'm anxious. Maybe this whole feminism thing wasn't really the right thing to do after all. Women find feminism when bad things happen. I've been married for the third time. Why can I not fall in love? Why do I keep fucking the bad boys? Why am I not attracted to quote unquote good men? But if you tell her feminism is wrong and you absolutely should not go along with it, it's not going to sink in any more than I can take Rollo's book, cram it down somebody's throat, and all of a sudden they become a red pill.
Hey, caller, I didn't catch your name. What was it?
It's Kathy.
Kathy, do you mind if I call you Kathy?
Yeah, you can call me Kathy.
All right, thank you, Kathy. I'll put it this way. These guys all have great points, and I don't disagree with them. I may not have a 22-year-old daughter, but I have dated a lot of 22-year-olds.
I was going to say,
the one thing I can say for sure is that you can't argue with them. They either don't care or don't want to listen. Can I ask where her father is in all this? Like, are they at home? Are they married? Are they divorced? Is he estranged?
Her father is divorced. He's in a LTR with a woman, and she's more of a mother to this girl than her own mother is.
Ooh,
her mother is definitely, well, her own mother is, what do they call those people that starts with a B?
Bipolar?
Borderline.
Oh, borderline. Okay, yeah.
Oh, borderline.
But would you consider? I don't know if it's your daughter or your son, but would you consider her father to be a good role model? Like, would he be the kind of man you could see the granddaughter with and be, that's good?
Yeah, he's the only one that is a steady in her life.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I know as a grandma, you get to be brutally honest with her because grandmothers just don't give a fuck, and that's awesome. Bless you for that. My grandmother was like that. The way I've seen it happen is my little sister, my baby sister, she was a cowgirl. She was a total, like, a complete dick. I remember her grad partner at the grad party in front of her family and my family would call the guy a faggot in front of everybody. And he just took it. Don't mean to, denigrate the homosexuals, but here's the point. She ended up as a complete rager. She partied constantly. She was brutal to men. And she met this nice little white boy. I can never remember his name. I think it's Darren. And he was the first guy that told her no. and stood up to her in her entire life. And you know what happened? The same thing that happened with my girl. She was a party girl too. She got with me, and basically you shut that down. And I don't mean to say that the onus is on a strong man to not put up with it, but girls find feminism because they want a better way for themselves. Good intentions. I want to have the best life I can, and feminism is the most appealing way to get there now. Obviously, we disagree with that. But you can say, no, it's bad, all you want, but you need to replace it with something that's a better alternative, or she's just not going to go for it.
That makes sense.
It's better the devil you know than the devil you don't. So she's like, well, these feminists, they're telling me I can have it all. That's better than you saying no and then leaving it there. So the only thing I can say that you could do for her is, if you can't find better examples for her, and maybe it's simple stuff like Donnie was saying, show them what real feminists are acting like. Look at that. It's like, oh, that's horrible. If she, in her social circle, if being associated with a feminist would have caused her social ramifications, if she would lose friends, if boys wouldn't date her, she'll drop it in a heartbeat.
Oh, easy. Yep.
And so I would say find the places you can to show her that there is a better example on how to be, in your opinion, a more productive and a more fulfilled woman.
To add to this quickly, show her the kind of men that women who are not feminists are with, and then show her the kind of men that women who are feminists are with. And don't convince her which kind of man do you want to be with. Really? You want to be with that one? Well, you've got some tough choices to make.
And it's hard because we're men, so we kind of know. Just be the kind of man that she would love to go out with, and then show that you wouldn't put up with it. And that's usually as far as we can take it. You have a bit of a different problem. So maybe it's the case, a bunch of your silverback friends that you would think are like wonderful examples and the kind of men you want to grow old with. Maybe just have her hang out while you guys are having a poker night and hanging out, so she can see like, wow, I can see that being the kind of guy that in 20 years I would have loved to have grown old with. Like, just give her the best examples you can of a better alternative. And then you just have to trust that you guys raised your daughter and granddaughter smart enough to recognize talent when it's slapping her in the face. I would say the less talk you do and the more examples you show, the better off it'll be. I wish it was a better answer, but unfortunately, until we get the kind of girl that's been red-pilled for 20 years and swings some girls around from feminism, that's probably the best answer you're going to get from a bunch of guys in their 30s and 40s.
All right, good stuff. I think Ryan nailed it. And I know that a lot of times, and thanks for the call, area code 760. Hopefully we helped her out.
Dude, honestly, that's my favorite female caller we have ever had.
That was really good. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool.
Kitten Holiday, pay attention. That's how it's supposed to go.
You know, it's funny because I think a lot of women think they get intimidated. They think, oh, well, I can't call in. It's all male. And if you're a chick, you can call in. Just have a take. Have something that's good like that.
And don't be on some bullshit, because I have a very short fuse for bullshit. Oh my God, Donovan, he picked on me and he was mean to me. Be less of a bitch. Be transparent.
You know what? If more grandmothers were like that, I think a lot of the problems we're having would have largely gone away. So it really is nice to see somebody who gives a shit.
Gives a shit. Yeah, right. All right, we're going to address a question that George Bruno asked on Twitter. I'm going to read the question, and I want guys to take turn. Carl's got to go here in a few minutes, so I'm going to give him the first crack at this. So George Bruno says, quote, "Somebody please name names on RMG. Way too much ambiguity, but I see a lot of dick swinging and gauntlet throwing. Who do we not want to be a part of the 21? I see subtle threats happening here. I didn't want to call it out publicly in the chat. For instance, Rolo saying he'll be involved until what? Just say it. It's a subtle threat and a hostage situation. That's exactly what I heard. I'm not hammering your work, Rolo, at all. You know that. I'm questioning the ambiguous subtexts and code I've been reading for the past week. I don't like anyone acting like they have one foot out the door, and if X doesn't happen, then it'll be both feet out. Respectfully submitted." I gotta admit, I didn't read that whole thing until just now. So okay, so Carl,
hand it off to Carl real quick.
Yeah, I'll give it to Carl, then Carl can bounce, and then I'll let Rolo Carl.
Did Carl bounce already? Oh, you're muted, Carl.
He's still there.
Carl.
Calling Carl. He said he had a plate. He said he had a plate coming over. Maybe she would.
Oh, okay.
Well, here, I tell you what, how about I just do a quick 30 seconds while he's doing it, then you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like And Carl and I talk about this all the time. It's when you make it personal and start naming names, that's how beef starts. That's how this outrage culture starts. And I've done my best to be a big proponent of playing the ball, not playing the man. And these are ideas. And yeah, people are bringing up from various egos, and that's fine. But by calling it out, I'm making it personal, and people can't understand the ideas because then they're worried about picking sides. And that's not the goal of any of this.
Oh, God. Oh.
It's not a threat, because I think we articulate, and you, Rollo, you said that right at the beginning. So long as the people you were associating with have the same end goal, and that's for a healthier group of men, a healthier society from it, essentially pro man, let's get these guys going and let's not, denigrate everybody else. That's fine. Even if as long as we're like 50% on board, that's fine. We're going to have disagreements on a lot of the nuances and a lot of the subtleties, but we all are pointing in the same direction. When that changes, then obviously we'll change, because nobody's going to stick with something if it's not valuable. If, let's just use an example here, totally out of the blue. Let's say Anthony switches his convention up to be pro-feminism.
Oh,
obviously we're not going to associate, it's never going to happen.
Right.
But if that were to happen, that's like, look, we're obviously not in the same direction here. But as another hypothetical, let's say Anthony is still doing this thing. He wants it red pilled. He wants it pro man. But we have a disagreement on how a guy should deal with his girlfriend, like whether guys should be married or long-term relationships or plates or whatever. Those are differences we can have, and we can have them easily. But it's not in the way of the core mission. And I think so long as that happens, then we're all good. It's never going to be 1 foot out the door. It's not threat points or any of that nonsense. But I find so long as we keep names out of it, it makes it easier to discuss the ideas and not make it about the people. And we already know egos are big enough.
Oh, yeah.
The last thing we want to do is start adding egos to this. And so that's why at least I make, other than Stedman, because I love the guy, other than him, I like keeping the egos out of it, and we just focus on the ideas.
Yeah,
and I guess that's the best answer.
Yeah, that's what it really boils down. I'm not threatening. Oh, I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna leave. Okay.
Damn you, Ed. I don't like black coffee. We're done.
Yeah, I know. Well, but that draws us back to this point here is like, well, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable? And I told Anthony this from day one, since even before we went and did the 2017 convention. I said, I am a part of this as insofar as it's still a red pill event, that it is still something that men are getting value from, and it's saving men's lives, and it has a commitment and an obligation to truth. And yes, there's always, that's what this whole show is about. It's going to be this balance between hustle and truth. And there's no way you're going to avoid having people accuse you of selling out. Okay, I get that. That's fine. But at what point are you associating your brand of me with something else? Because like I said before, people are binary, and they think that if you're associated with Anthony, then you must agree with everything that he says, right? Or you retweeted something from Richard Spencer, so you must agree with him.
Yeah.
You must be a Nazi yourself, right? And it's like, no, I retweeted it so that I could criticize it and pick it apart. But people will say, but you still did that, so that means that you're actually reading his stuff. And that's how autistic it can get. And so, but what do I do? Okay, I ended my little segment about this before. It's like, this is the only thing that's going right now. This is the TED Talk. This is the Red Pill Summit. I've said this. We've used it as an advertising thing. There's nothing else like this going on on the internet or anywhere else for that matter. And it's not like I haven't had opportunities to go speak at other conventions. I just don't do it with them because I don't believe in their core mission. So if I have the guys from the Good Man Project hit me up and say, Rollo, we really want you to come and talk at our annual event or something like that, I'm going to turn them down because their core mission is being an apologist for, conventional traditional masculinity, which is exactly the opposite of what I've been promoting for the last 15 some odd years. So am I shouldn't be. But here's the question though. Here's the debate for this is well, shouldn't you just do that? Then you can go in there and you can really straighten them out or something like that. It's like, no, I can be more effective doing what I do for the 21 convention. It's a waste of my time. I could be writing, I can be putting, what's the most effective use of my time is writing another book, is putting that out there and putting it in the hands of other guys. So it's going to save their lives, or it's going to help them at least live better. Like, give them the tools, give them the truth that they can use. And I don't know. It's just, I'm certainly not like saying, oh, I'm just going to leave or something. But at some point, if in the future there are changes in the fundamental core direction of 21 convention, then I might have to think about it. And I would expect anybody who is a speaker to do the same damn thing.
It's just like the purple pill guys. Anthony didn't really have to get rid of the purple pill guys. As soon as he decided to go red pill with the 21 convention, the purple pill guys probably separated themselves because it no longer is in line with their beliefs.
And here's the other thing is like, I'm not going to, well, I can name names if you want me to really name names. It's like, there's people that I would not agree to have to being a part of, were they to be a part of the 21 convention. So for instance, Illimitable Man, I would not speak at a same convention as Illimitable Man. That's just, there's too much bad blood there, and he fucked things up. So fuck him. And if you're going to expect, and if you're going to spring some surprise on me and say, oh, guess what? Rollo, Illimitable Man's here at the convention too. Sorry, I'm out. That's it. Yeah. That'll be one. Pat Stedman might be another. People who I think are not just damaging the hustle, but also damaging the truth. Again, I have a commitment and an obligation to the truth. So that's one, like guys in the purple pill community, whether it's Stedman or Evan Mark Katz or Mark Manson or any of these guys, the reason I wouldn't do it in the first place, I wouldn't do the old style convention, is because I didn't want to be associated with that, because I feel that those guys' commitment to their hustle is damaging to the truth.
That's right.
So when I listen, and I'll just give you a quick example here. When I listen to Pat Stedman write columns or talk about it or tweet or whatever, talking about how you can go and find your soulmate, and that one-itis really isn't one-itis and soulmates actually exist. All you have to do is get your Myers-Briggs letters to line up correctly, and that's your fucking soulmate. You know what? You're putting guys back at risk. The guys that I say, look, there is no such thing as a soulmate. You're going to get zeroed out. And because you believe in that soulmate, you're probably going to put a fucking noose around your neck. And a guy like that goes and completely contradicts, what the truth is. The reason why guys are doing that, the reason why the demographic for guys killing themselves is what is it, 30 or 45 to 65, somewhere around there. The reason for that is because they're getting zeroed out, because they still believe in that old blue pill Pollyanna, soulmate bullshit. And you're going to go and tell them that, oh, sorry, the red pill's cool, but you can still have these little ideals and all of these lies that you've basically emancipated yourself from. You can actually have those things. Fuck you, because that is putting men back at risk and back. So if you're going to say, well, this guy's going to come and speak at an event, I'm not going to have anything to do with that. That's not me saying, oh, I'm just going to bug out or anything like that. It's just that I don't want to be associated with things that I know are 100% wrong. That's why I won't go and talk to the Good Man Project, because I think that they are doing more damage than they are doing good. I think the same thing about We Are Man Enough, and there's lots of other, where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line as far as what is acceptable and what is red pill and what is not red pill? And yes, we're going to have a PR problem with the red pill very soon.
We are.
We're going to have that. It's already started. We're going to have the mainstream media wanting to wipe off certain, there's going to be the next killer. There's going to be the next Elliot Rodger or something like that. And they're going to say, oh, it's these red pill guys. Hey, guess what? Hey, WordPress, maybe you better go and kill this guy's blog over here. Yep. Hey, Twitter, go and dump these guys off your platform because they have the word red pill and they have no idea what they're talking about. It's just that they make that association and they go, oh, well, better be done with it than actually try to have to figure it out on our own. And so at what point do you draw the line? At what point you say, well, Rollo's bitter and he's not nice. He's talking about unflattering things to the feminine. Yeah, I am. I'm sorry, but that's part of the truth. That's part of it. And, you know, just because I am talking about those things doesn't mean that I'm bitter. It just means that I'm putting out objective truth there. And if that's where my commitment is, that's where my obligation is. And so when I am speaking with other people, whoever it is, I you know, there's a lot of egos. There's a lot of egos in the manosphere. I don't think, like you were just saying a minute ago, there's a lot of, and there's going to be conflicts, you know, certain people aren't going to get along with other people. So you have to know those things. And that's, if I want to give Anthony any advice, it's understand, and this is hard, but understanding the differences between certain personalities, so that when you're putting people on the same bill, that they're like, one guy goes on and then an hour later another guy goes on and contradicts everything that the other guy just said.
This is actually a conversation, and Rollo, you and I had a conversation where you and I were sort of throwing around the idea. You had actually just bought the kayak, if I'm not mistaken. We tossed around the idea of maybe putting a disclaimer on everything Red Man Group and 21 Convention related, something to the effect that says, hey, the thoughts and views and opinions of one person does not necessarily reflect on the whole. There may be some fundamental disagreements here and there, but in the end, we are all pro-male. We might have different ways of doing things and saying things. We might have different audiences. We are all on the same team, but that doesn't mean that we are lockstep with everything. But as soon as the fundamental principles start to become a little bit watery, that's when you get a little bit of unrest. And when we feel that way, this is when we start to talk. Rollo, where's the line of demarcation? Where do we draw the line? What's red pill and what's not? To me, it's like a Hall of Famer. Does XYZ player belong in the Hall of Fame? If there's any hesitation, well, that means the answer is no. You're either a Hall of Famer or you are not. It's the same thing with red pill, right? Is it red pill to have a female speaker at the 22 convention? Of course not. There's nothing to think about, right? Now, some guys may not have been in the game as long as we have, and they're still trying to find their way. Then, of course, you got guys that are new to the red pill, and they've taken the black pill. I don't give a fuck how hot she is. If she fucks up one time, she's fucking gone. Listen, you got to have a little bit more skin in the game. You got to have a little bit more experience in the game to understand that that's not how that goes. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that for me, where we draw the line of demarcation is almost the same standard as the Hall of Fame. And this is where, just like Rollo said earlier, you're going to have to trust the guys who have been in it. We're not trying to lead you the wrong way. We're not trying to lead the lamb to the slaughter. This isn't Jonestown. There's no hidden agenda for us. We really want to help men. We're not putting out an ideology because it's good for business, because we actually figured out very quickly that it's a lot more profitable to tell people what they want to hear than to tell people what they need to hear. If this were a purple pill show, we'd probably have 2,000 people watching right now. The 21 convention would probably be once a month. But the red pill is hard, man. Living the red pill life is hard. These are uncomfortable truths. And that's why we get so much pushback, especially from guys who know they really need it, but they're so invested in their blue pill ideals, they don't have any choice but to push back, especially if their very livelihood depends on it. So as far as I'm concerned, well, this is not red pill and that's not red pill. You have to really just think about it. And deep inside every man's brain, in his masculine hard drive, you know what is hyper masculine and what's not, right? Holding your woman's purse for her at the department store, that's not being masculine. It's not being a fucking man. Watching romantic comedies with a girl that you haven't fucked yet, that's not being a man. If you have to ask yourself, is that really red pill or not? It probably is not.
I'll posit this. Being shamed out of doing these things because you don't want other people to think you're not a man is also not being a man.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, have we jerked ourselves off enough how great we are?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was just going to say, I'm going to give you one real quick example. I know we got to tie things up here in a second, but I did a interview with Nick Krauser about 2 weeks ago, and Nick and I have been pretty good friends, internet friends for a long time. He's going to be speaking at the Poland gig. And so I wanted to talk to him, and he doesn't get along with everybody. I still think fundamentally he's committed to the red pill for truth, but I was actually kind of surprised by some of the stuff that he was saying. And so was Alan Roger Curry, and so was Tate, Andrew Tate. and he had some pretty choice things to say about their approach to Red Pill and game and all that other stuff. And they came back with their own videos to just sort of, set the record straight for him. Fine. That's a conflict between personalities that are a part of the 21 convention, that we can disagree with each other. I don't agree with I'm pretty sure that Alex Cortez, AJ, doesn't agree with every last thing that I say. And there are people that he probably follows that he thinks has some merit, that I would say that guy's definitely purple pill, and I would never want him to be on a part of the show. But that doesn't mean that I just completely devalue or disqualify anything that Alex says. So, we're still good friends, and, we just have that disagreement. That's the thing. I think that's one of the core strengths of the 21 convention is we can disagree with each other, and we can fight with each other too. But we're still a family, we're still coming back at the end of the day because we still have a commitment to that truth. What I'm saying is when that commitment slips in favor of the hustle, that's when I got to start asking the tough questions.
When the hustle becomes more important than the stake, that's the same as the hustle becoming more
important than the truth. Yeah.
And to be clear, guys, if and when that ever happens, we'll let you know. I don't think we've got it so far.
I don't think we'll have to let them know. I think it'll be
well. And then here's and let me just leave you guys with this: a storm is coming. Okay, a storm is already here. It's already hit Heartiste. It's already hit Roosh several times. It's hit Paul Joseph Watson, Laura Loomer, a lot of these people who are not necessarily red pill people, and in the sense that we define it, but there is a list. There's definitely a blacklist, and I would feel pretty comfortable saying that Rollo Tomasi is on that list. So what's going to happen when WordPress closes the Rational Mail? Are you guys going to have my back, or am I just going to be on my own?
We got your back, Rollo.
Yeah.
Dude, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, thanks. I'm out. Bye.
Most prolific writer on the last one left.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll be the fourth and final R, right?
Yeah. No more R's.
Do it for episode 65 of the Red Man Group. This was a very, very good episode. Hopefully this one gets a lot of views. Like, comment, subscribe. Shoot the links to your friends, shoot the links to your buddies. Quick shout outs here to our super chatters: Miami J, Freelance Ronin, Mr. Jackson, Redman Anon, Conk, Dean Nipt, T21 Surfer, Rodrigo Castillo, Tommy Bahama, JC, Diesel Smoke 35 MJG, Chris Baker, Dean Nip again, Freelance Ronin again, Dean Nip again. Freelance Ronin says, great topic of conversation and conversation. Salute, gentlemen. Dean Nip says, smash that like button and buy Tactical Soap. So with that, I'll go ahead and give you guys the last words. Ryan, any closing remarks?
Nope. Just thank you for all those guys that have been signed up to the email list. Like I said, I really would love it if I saw a bunch of guys grabbing some Wayfarers and enjoying themselves this summer. But if not, I got myself a bunch of pairs that I can accidentally sit on that I tend to do every couple of weeks. So we'll see what happens. Beyond that, just keep producing value and everybody on board. And if you guys keep watching, I'll keep running my mouth.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, what you got, brother?
I will be on tomorrow. The Red Pill 101 with Pat will be going off at 4:30 Eastern, and I realized that this episode wasn't probably the meat and potatoes Red Pill stuff that you guys are wanting, but it's a conversation that needed to be had. So I promise you tomorrow, if you watch Red Pill 101, I'll be right back to where we're talking meat and potatoes once again. And next week we'll be doing the same. I should also say that one of the reasons I wanted to have just the four of us on here so that we could have this conversation, because I know that we have other people. We've got Steve and we got Tate and we got John and we got all these other people who wanted to be in on this, but I really felt that it needed to be the four of us just having this conversation. So I'm glad we did. We'll probably carry this on off air, but I just I want everybody to know that I'm not a part of this because of I'm not doing what I'm doing to turn a fast buck or anything like that. I'm doing that because I like you guys and I like my Red Pill family, really is what I like to say. Yeah. And so that's why when something's going on in the family, that's when we have talks about it, and that's when then sometimes we fight about it and sometimes we debate about it. Sure. So I wouldn't put it this way. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't give a shit.
Right.
I would just say, okay, I'm indifferent to it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't, like I said, this conversation needs to be had. And the reason I'm getting this out of the way right now is because a storm is coming, and it's better that we get this thing hashed out right now, because come probably October, we're going to be dealing with a shitstorm because of the election cycle that's coming.
Yeah, can you guys get that thing out of the way? That's very inconvenient for the rest of us here.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, I promise you guys meat and potatoes tomorrow, and my next post will be also very much meat and potatoes, because whenever I go to a 21 convention, it is the best thing in the world for me, because you'll notice that I'm constantly taking notes, and those notes end up turning into essays, and those notes end up becoming parts of books too. So there you go. So thank you for all of that material, and I will see you guys tomorrow at 4:30.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing what I do. I haven't really posted. I really haven't put on consistent Patreon content what with the week and the 21 convention. But I'm gonna start posting every day on Patreon like I was before. YouTube, I'll probably post 5 videos per week on YouTube. I'm gonna do my show Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then of course maybe the best segments on maybe Sunday and possibly Monday or Tuesday. Because of the added time that I've given myself, I'm going to finish my book. I am 75% of the way done with it. And actually, dude, I was 75% of the way done with it 2 months ago. Then I moved, and then I built a new studio, then the 21 con. But I'm going to go ahead and get my book. I'm going to get my book done. I've got a course that I'm going to put together that I'm going to release probably towards the end of the year. I'm also going to begin my transition, from my main audience on Patreon to my own platform. I'm going to hang on to YouTube and Patreon for as long as I can, but I want to give guys a guaranteed way to get a hold of all my content, because like Rollo said, a storm is coming, and if you don't have an umbrella, man, you're screwed. That's just all there is to it. Great conversation, guys. That's going to do it for this edition of the Redman Group. We will see you guys next week at 11 Eastern. We will also see you on the Red Line call-in show next Friday at 8. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.